Good morning, Raptor Freak. Lexi Outs here, and it's Saturday, and we're doing a reaction to the Raptors' last preseason game last night against the Brooklyn Nets. And the Raptors won, and now they have a winning record after the preseason. A fantastic game last night, full of aggressive energy by the Raptors on both ends of the court. Lots of fun stuff in that game. Very nice to see Emmanuel quickly return to the lineup. I staked my reputation on Emmanuel playing last night, and well, thank God he came back in, played for the Raptors last night, his only preseason game of the preseason. And well, he looked very good, if you ask me. Lots to talk about in the reaction for this game. So let's get it going. I'm never taking this Barnes jersey off again. Because that man is doing something different with his life right now. And it is showing in the NBA court. Scotty Barnes, man, you ate your Wheaties, didn't you? Yeah, let's go, Scotty. Let's go. This is just going to be fun, isn't it, Raptors Freaks? Oh, my gosh, this is going to be fun. All right, let's see who's in the comments. I'll take my direction from you guys and which way we go with the comments section as far as where to talk and what to tackle as far as things from last night. First of all, let's see, who's first in today? It looks like it's my paisano, the Italian plumber. My good friend, Nameless, has come in and dropped some lines on us first thing. He's saying, buongiorno a tutti. Buongiorno a tutti. I can really see the vision coming together with the greater familiarity and skill of more regulars in the rotation. There is obvious improvement from last season. Darko over Jordy. This is a very interesting subject because, yes, this was Darko versus Jordy, number one. And in some ways, we've had some Raptors freaks that were kind of like, well, I wish we'd gotten a Fernandez as our coach instead of Rajakovic. Well, I'm going to say this. In some ways, both the jobs are very different. That Brooklyn job is not as good as the Toronto job. And in some ways, Jordy's got to start somewhere with a team that's absolutely been decimated by poor management the last few years with the big three named Durant, Harden, and Kyrie. So, in some ways, it's not totally against Jordy. And in some ways, we got to give Jordy a little bit of credit for his team coming back and scaring us near the end of the game. Although that was a lot because we put in our bench guys and they were useless for pretty much the whole fourth quarter. And the bench lost our big lead that our starters had built. But, Jordy was coaching that whole time and doing different things and stuff like that. So I still believe in Fernandez, but I will agree with you on this. The fact that part of the difference here, Nameless, is that Darko got handed a team that was confusing last year and had a lot of ups and downs and weird stuff, but he sailed that ship through the roughest of waters an NBA team can be on, with crazy monumental trades and very, very, very difficult injuries to get around. The fact that Darko had the team in the best place mentally and energy-wise as a team at the end of the season was very impressive last year. Now, in some ways, I could say these guys are apples and oranges. And it's not totally fair to compare Coach Jordy Fernandez to Coach Darko Rajakovic. But the game happened last night, and the win was on the side of Coach Darko. And also, I'm going to say this right now. I feel bad for Coach Fernandez. It's going to be a very, very long season for the Brooklyn Nets. And you know what? In some ways, he's such a competitor, and we see the excellence of him coaching Team Canada that I don't wish this on him. I do have a soft spot for Coach Jordy, and I do very much like the guy a lot. But yeah, if we're talking about Jordy versus Darko won. Darko won. Yeah, we'll see as it goes through the season. Last season, we had trouble beating Atlantic Division teams, but hopefully this year we are going to be beating the Nets every single time we get to play them. Of course, we're not going to see the Nets until like next year because of the crazy ass schedule they gave us, where we don't see any of the lower tier teams in the league until like 2025. So it's really crazy. So we'll barely see the Nets. Okay, some noise upstairs, very loud. Let's see. All right, Names is saying also when Shamshay did the no finger, paying. Okay, when Shamshay did the no finger, he was doing homage to Dikembe Matumbo. You almost died. You almost died when you saw that. Yeah, he's been waiting to do that, obviously. because in some ways he was very strongly uh, t- uh, 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 influenced by Dikembe while Dikembe was still alive. There's a lot of pictures of Shamshe getting guidance and talking to Matumbo over in Africa, the Basketball Africa League. So this is somebody that did really mean a lot to him. And the announcers, Jack really got a kick out of him doing the Matumbo finger wag. Of course, also Jack doing the no on the air at one point on one of the great blocks we did. We had multiple very, very good blocks last night. Scotty with a huge block, Jakob with a huge block, Shamshe with a huge block. There's been a lot of Matumbo tributes, and I think that the Matumbo tributes are going to continue forever. That this is just a part of the game. People love the finger wag and they love the no. And, these are some things that are not going to go away. In fact, they may very much be a way that we continue to remember the great legend Dikembe Mutombo is because of that phenomena. But yeah, Shamshe, very fun last night. There was one point where Shamshe, the Nets got a breakaway and they were going to lay it up, and Shamshe was at midcourt, and his first impulse was to take off like a gazelle and run down there and block the shit out of them before they made that. But he didn't. He's caught himself and he didn't go. And I'm wondering, listen, don't hold yourself back, Urish. Just go. If you feel that sudden impulse, like I could catch that guy in 2 or 3 strides from half court at the basket, just do it. Just do it, because we want to see these amazing, impressive moves by you. And the fact that you could cover that much ground very quickly to get down there and block a guy when he didn't even realize you were anywhere near, that's something you're going to do at some point. So your first impulse last night was not to sprint after him. Well, in the future, you will, and you will get that block. Trust me. It's going to be very, very cool. Now, we did see Shamshe coming the other way in the open court, kind of like in Akumto, and it was scary. It was kind of really ugly because he got to the lane, he got right next to it, and then he kind of jumped up and lost the ball, and it went out of bounds. But that is another sign of things to come with the young Cameroonian as far as danger for other teams. That man, they did give him the ball in transition coming up the court, and he went right into the lane. Now, he wasn't successful. He completely lost the ball, but that's a vision of the future, guys, is what I'm saying right here. And it's going to be very interesting to see. Of course, he had a dunk too. So, yeah, there was some interesting stuff with Shamshe, and I'm glad he got into the game, and his energy was nice. He was very much all over the place. And the energy for the Raptors overall last night was top-notch. Top notch. Nako is here. Scotty just reenacted the climax of Space Jam that game. I think sheds a concrete rotation piece for us. I'm excited that we haven't seen this team at full depth. Yeah, I mean, with RJ still out and Kelly, and we have some really good players that are not playing in preseason that much. And, it's all going to add to the possibilities of options for Coach Rajakovic and utilizing the Raptors roster for the season. Guys, I've had a change of heart. I've thought about things a little bit more deeply in the last 2 days since our Thursday think tank. And I have a way that they need to do this. I think I figured it out, Masai and Bobby. This is what we should do. Now, I don't think that Bruno Fernando plays a very perfect game at all. In fact, last night he got out-rebounded on a defensive rebound where a Nets player went around and stole the ball from him when he should have been boxing out and made an easy two-pointer after a missed free throw. There were a couple of times where Bruno really looked bad, but there were a lot of times where he looked good. And he did make all of his shots, and he did do some good rebounding. I'm officially flipping to saying we should keep Bruno and guarantee his contract and let Jamison Battle go to the 905. And the thing is, we don't lose Jamison Battle. Jamison Battle goes down there and he does Grady Dick stuff with Jamal Shed on the 905 level. And listen to me, hear me out for a sec. I think that Neil's argument from the other day is pretty on point as far as we're going to need these bigs. We're going to need reinforcements at bigs. And Bruno, even though he's not perfect, there's a lot of things about him that are useful. So I say, you know what? Guarantee Bruno, after all, and let Jamison Battle go to the 905. And in some ways, Jamison Battle could reappear on the Raptors on the main level later in the season, depending on anything. Hopefully, God forbid, injuries. Hopefully, it's on his own merit because he's playing so well. And we're like, yeah, we're going to call up some guys because we need to. So I feel like that may be the right path to go at this point because I think that Neil's right that we do need bigs. We need more bigs because we saw in the game last night, Jakob Poeltl absolutely dominate the Brooklyn Nets. Like Ben Simmons, you are a joke, bro. You are not a center. You are not. I don't know what you are, man. You're just some dude who shows up to basketball games and you're talented. But yeah, Jakob ate his lunch. He took his lunch and ate it. And there was nothing that nobody could do about Poeltl in the game last night. And, in some ways, having big advantage is a very huge advantage still in the NBA. So I would say this in some ways, maybe Fernando's 6 fouls. Maybe he's a guy who's just going to kind of beef it up down low and fight for rebounds. But it may be that we do need to keep him and that we do it. And, I think cutting Jemias Ramsey is easy at this point. I think that Ramsey has not been that perfect or absolutely knocking your socks off. And Rodin's just kind of faded away out of the picture and not playing in the last 2 games. So, Jamison Battle could go to 905. He has not played in the NBA at all. He's a rookie. He could go down there, start his NBA career with them. But knowing that he showed such good promise that he could have made the team, he could have a real opportunity to get a 10-day contract, come up to the Raptors, and stick around forever after that. So I'm really officially swinging my official judgment on this to saying let's keep Fernando just for the bigs depth. And Jamison Battle, go to 905. We'll still have you in our system and be on a very talented 905 team that you'll probably get a chance to come up at some point in this season. Hopefully no injuries, and then maybe not. But if there is any kind of stuff happening, well, we'll probably call you up first, is what I'm saying right now. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Now, Scotty, woo, Scotty. Wow, things are different with Scott. This is not the same Scotty Barnes from last year. Scotty Barnes jumped up last year in his game and got all-star. This year, though, is different. It's very, very different. This guy's very measured. This guy's very killer instinct. This guy is doing things in big, huge ways, in major, flashy ways. And some of it is the really confident three-point shooting in the third quarter. Some of it is a monster block that was coming from the weak side. Some of it is an amazing drop-off passes to people like Abaji for easy layups. There's a lot of different things Scotty's doing really, really well right now. And one of them that's very cool is he's kind of like the lead dog in the dog pack right now. There was a point in the game in the second quarter last night where all of a sudden Scotty, Davion, and Jamal Shed were like a pack of dogs after the offense of the Nets and relentlessly just hounding them and making them cough it up. That was really interesting because honestly, this is crazy. Like if these guys are all going to play like Scotty does on defense and they're all going to have like that attitude, that characteristic, like Scotty's the leader, the lead dog in the pack, and all these dudes are biting and chomping at the other team, this is going to be over for the other teams. Because in some ways, we outwork people, now play people in that crazy-ass way with such high-level defensive players. This can be nuts. These dudes are relentless, and they did not give up on just hounding the hell out of the other team until they coughed it up. And that was very, very impressive. In fact, Scott, as much as he's making leaps and bounds with his three-point shooting, confidence of that, and the passing and the decision-making, he's also doing major growth things on the defensive end. If you pay real close attention, you can see. So I'm really, really proud of Scotty in a lot of ways. And yeah, I mean, I guess that Space Jam reference, Gerald, is apropos. Shed actually did a really good job last night with his offense. So it makes me feel a little bit better about him playing. But I still think that in some ways, I'd rather do this. And it's partly because I think that DJ Carton is just such a steady, grounded, dependable player. I would rather have IQ and Davion on the main team with Carton as the third point guard and still send Shed to 905. I know that you think he's a concrete rotation piece for us, but I don't think that's true. Once again, this is the preseason and everybody comes back. There's less minutes around. And in some of the ways that they've been playing Davion with IQ and Shed, well, RJ's going to be back and RJ's going to take that chunk of the time and you won't see as many point guard lineups. Possibly. Who knows? Maybe you will do that. but it more likely to be Emmanuel and Davion. And Shed is not going to be a regular rotation player. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't think any of our rookies will be regular rotation players to start the season. I think that we have too many good players overall that even guys like Mobo will get pushed to the third team by Kelly Olynyk and people like Bruce Brown possibly coming back like health wise. So I would really do this if I was Darko. I tell all my rookies, you guys did great in preseason. You did great in summer league, but it's regular season. This is a new era. And for you to earn time here, you got to show it on the 905 level, show it in practice, and show in some ways that you can beat the guys that are ahead of you in the depth chart. And I'm going to tell you right now, in some ways, those guys are not going to get minutes right away. They may get their NBA debuts in regular season NBA games, but they may not get much more. And in some ways, it's because of dependability. It's because these guys are more savvy pros that are older, and they're going to be out there more. In some ways, I want them to go through the fire of Mississauga and go through and do the things that they do on that level. Because if we're going to do what we did before with our bench mob, that is the formula. That is the formula. There has to be a beginning year where primarily the guys that are rookies this year are on 905 and doing most everything they do on 905. Sure, there'll be appearances on the big squad. Sure, there may be opportunities because things open up for certain reasons in certain ways. But I say that the Raptors have a deep enough team with veterans that they do not need to rely on any single one of their rookies in the rotation this year. Because think about it. When RJ shows back up, he's going to push Ochai Agbaji back to the bench. And then Agbaji and Boucher, they may take all the time from Mobo. So, the signs of Mobo being really good and helping us are there, and it's fantastic. But I'm just saying, don't get ahead of yourself with saying this is a concrete rotational person, because in some ways there's not going to be no minutes for Shed, and Shed's going to need to go get heavy minutes on 905. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I may be completely wrong. You may be right that Shed is just going to be a rotation piece this year, but I don't think so. I don't think that's exactly right. Trevor's saying, be humble and never think you are better than anyone else. We all leave the world with nothing. Boom, that's a dynamite. That's a very dark word of wisdom. In some ways, it's very true. It's like, hey, you go to the grave as a rich or poor man. There's no money going with you. So you're the same person either way. Thank you for the words of wisdom, Commissioner Fun, Trevor J. And he's saying Ochai had another good game. Yeah, he did. He very much did. In fact, let's do the 5 stars of the day since Trevor brought this up real quick. My number 1 star of the game is Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes, you're the leader. You're the man who sets the tone, and you set the tone on both ends of the court. 26 minutes for Scott with 21 points, a plus 18, 7 of 12 shooting. Absolutely fantastic shooting. And I love how he mixed it up. Early on, he went early into the lane, and he made easier shots that are close. In fact, he actually used his size to dominate, though. There were 2 guys that were dominating the paint, and it was Pirtle and Barnes. And they could do Nets couldn't do anything defensively to stop those big boys from going in the lane and doing whatever they want. The stutter dribbles, the delay dribbles by Scotty to get in the lane and then get really easy shots and finish in the lane were outstanding. And this is the stuff we want to see Scott do more of than the 3-point shooting. Now, he can get going good and feel good and get some points down near the basket and then expand out to the 3-point shot like he did last night. It wasn't really until the third quarter when Scott started bombing the threes like really nasty and making some really cool threes. It wasn't really until the third quarter. So, Scotty, you were awesome, man. 3 for 6 from 3. He made all 4 of his free throws. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. So not heavy stat stuffing, but the stats are still there. 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Yeah, great game by Scott. And I think the thing about Scotty that was so fun was the dominant block and also a very dominant monster slam. And people are giving the business to the NBA once again on their NBA highlights. They are showing all kinds of Cam Johnson highlights from his excellence on the other side. But they managed to not put the big, huge monster jam that Scotty did in the highlight reel for NBA.com. Like, that is the literal suppression of getting the word out on how much of a superstar and how attractive and fun Scotty is to root for. Well, y'all can't hide him forever because he's going to continue to do what he does, and the word's going to get out. You couldn't stop Vince sanity. Well, you're not going to be able to stop Barnes sanity either. And that's what I'm saying right now, NBA. You better just fucking wake up and realize you got to face the future up in Toronto, just like Darko said. And this guy's going to be making more and more eyes turn into him and saying this kid is amazing. And there's going to be more and more young fans in the States that love Scotty Barnes, and y'all can't do jack shit about it. And you can no longer ignore him or deny him of who he is. In some ways, that'll be even more impressive, Scotty, that you did it the hard way, the way through Canada. And in some ways, they will not deny you, as they could not deny Vince Carter, and they will not deny you either as a bona fide superstar in this league that turns heads and makes people go, ooh, that's right. That's just the damn truth. And shame on the NBA for leaving out the monster dunk that Scotty did in the game last night out of their highlight reel from the game on their YouTube channel. Yeah, what are you doing? That's one of the best dunks in the whole entire game. You scared, NBA, that somehow, some way, Scotty's going to be one of the most popular players in the league? You could only suppress this for so long that people will know, that people will find out, because the highlights will continue to come. And he will continue to dominate in certain ways on both ends of the court. And y'all will never, ever be able to suppress the legend of Scotty Barnes, just like you couldn't suppress the legend of Vince Carter. That is right. That is right. There you go. My second star of the game was Ochai Agbaji. As mentioned by Trevor, he had another great game, and that's why he's my second star right after Scotty. Another great shooting job by Ochai was 6 of 11 from the field with 16 points. Once again, 16 in 23 minutes. Ochai's really interesting because right now the things he's doing is just playing off each other, off of people really well. And specifically last night, he was playing really well off Scott. Scott would come in, garner a lot of attention in the lane, and he dumped the ball off easy to people like Pirtle or Agbaji. And then he's getting a layup or something like that. Plus, Agbaji shot better from the outside in certain ways. He was 1 for 6 from 3. He made all 3 of his 3 free throws, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, a plus 18, just like Scotty. They had the highest plus minus, except for Quickly, who was 19. But yeah, Agbaji, all-around good game, defensively active and a part of the hassling of the other team. And then making very good around the basket layups and stuff. In fact, that one play where he got the pass from Chris Boucher was so happy. He was smiling when he's coming up the court after playing, and he feels it. He feels like he's in the zone. He feels like he's in the right place. Now, Agbaji had a bad start to the game. In the very beginning, he had a turnover and a missed shot. And I was like, oh, man, Oshai's not playing well. Take him out. But he played really well over the whole of the game. By the end of the game, Ochai Agbaji, you're my second star with 16 points, a fantastic game as the second leading scorer for the Raptors last night after Scotty. The third star of the game is the great Jakob Poeltl. Poeltl dominated last night. He was the big man, the big boy on the court that the Nets had no answer for. Ben Simmons, you're a joke. You can't handle Jakob Poeltl. You can't even you suck, bro. You can't do nothing to him. He just ate you for lunch. He went this way, that way, lay it up around you, grabbing rebounds, dominating big man as the guy from Austria, Jakob Poeltl. 7 of 11 from the field for Jak. He had 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, a +5 with 14 points in 25 minutes. Yeah, Jak was just doing what he does. And, Jack Armstrong's right when they talk about how much the team is different with Jakob in the lineup than without. Now, part of the reason why the people hate Jakob is because they're tank meisters. And they realize that with Jakob in the lineup, we have a higher chance of winning games. So some of the people that don't like Poeltl are actually losers who just want us to lose more so that we can be in a better position to try and get somebody like Cooper Flagg. This is so stupid. I can't stand you idiots, that you're like, yeah, we finally land a good center after years of languishing with people like Aaron Baines. And now all of a sudden you turkeys think that we need to lose even more. And the best way to do that is to trade Jakob Poeltl. I think this is half of what these idiots, the whole thing is about. Poeltl doesn't fit on this team because he's not on our timeline, because he makes us win too much. Y'all are so fucking stupid, you idiots. You got to understand, we need to try and win now. And Jakob Poeltl is one of the main ingredients that helps the Raptors win. So just stop your bullshit and saying that we don't need Jakob Poeltl on this team because we want to lose more because we want a higher draft pick. You fucking dumbasses. This is what I say to people like that. You can't watch that game last night and see how awesome it is to dominate the Nets in the down low with a guy like Jakob on our team. Yeah, you're idiots. And in some ways, y'all should never, ever been basketball fans if you're all about losing, you dumbasses. All right, the fourth star of the game to me was Quickly returned to the squad. And yeah, I was so happy to see him out there. I knew he'd come back. He had the nice formed fitted cast on his wrist to keep it safe. And he was out there balling. He wasn't holding back. We saw him hitting the ground. We saw him getting mixed it up and kind of falling on places and making tough layups and sacrifice his body and just playing high level. We saw a little bit of a mixed bag of what Quickly offers to the Raptors last night. We saw a nice long three at one point, and we saw him doing very quick off the dribble, beat the guy to the hoop and laid it up and got hit out of bounds and got the and one, the little shruggy on the side. We did see a Skipley 4 for 7 from the field for Emmanuel, 9 points with 10 assists. And I love seeing that. Emmanuel was hooking people up. You could see a lot of the work that he put in with Pirtle this summer on display. The connection with them was there and very patient also. There was one pass where Quickly threw to Pirtle, and he really took his time to make sure Jakob was ready to catch the ball correctly. And then Jakob got it easy and just soft touched it in there. Jakob was the safety valve a lot last night, and the different point guards were using him in different ways to get the ball to him to collect assists. And Jakob Pirtle was a great target for Emmanuel Quickly. Yeah, very good stuff. 3 rebounds also for Emmanuel, 10 assists with only 3 turnovers, a plus 19. Really, really nice to see IQ back on the court for the Raptors last night. And we got that mixed bag of different things he does. And this is totally true what Jack Armstrong said during the game last night. Having Davion Mitchell and Jamal Shead around rubs off on Emmanuel. And if Emmanuel wasn't as good on defense in certain ways, well, he's going to get better on defense because he's got these other guys that he's fighting against in practice, and they're sharing tips about how they do things. So in some ways, it's really cool. The personnel on our team really is helping each other get better and better. Whether it's Grady teaching Oshai how to shoot better and Oshai teaching Grady how to play defense better, whether it's Emmanuel Quickly learning from Davion Mitchell some of the tools of the trade that he's learned from being a defensive-minded guard. So I could very much see Emmanuel Quickly becoming a better and better defensive guard just because of the guys in the depth chart after him, playing against them in practice. So I love it. I love it. So happy to see the smiling, happy face of Emmanuel Quickly back on the Raptors court last night. And this dude's a winner. This guy cares about winning so much, and you can tell. And this dude's not going to take this money from the Raptors and sit on it like Ben Simmons would. No, this man's going to work. This man is the hardest critic on himself, like he said in that practice interview this week, that he is his hardest critic on himself and that he is coming to get better and better and better every single day. And he understands what it takes to win. And I love it, man. I love the way he shoots. I love the way he breaks down offenses. We have a nasty team. And Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, and Scotty Barnes are a big reason why. Yeah, my last star of the game is Jamal Shead. Jamal Shead was fantastic off the bench, 9 points in 19 minutes, 4 of 7 from the field. He was scoring better. His shooting was better. He had a very nice transition 3 where he took it with great confidence and squared up and made it. That was a really good sign of things right there. Really, really good. He had 4 assists also and only 1 turnover. So, yeah, Jamal was my 5th star of the game. He was we even got to see him do a 2-handed dunk in the game at one point, which was fantastic. So, yeah, I thought Jamal was really good as the backup point guard last night. Not dissing to Davion Mitchell. It's just that he didn't do a lot of scoring, but he was fantastic too. Honorable mention to him as far as some of the connections in the passing he's done. In fact, the things I'm learning about Mitchell with his passing are impressing me more and more. I didn't think he was a very good passer. But honestly, right now, I feel like we have point guards on our team. I was saying this last night in the Facebook chat. We have not had a true point guard probably since Jose Calderon and TJ Ford. And now, Lowry, he was a combo guard, and he was going to take a lot of shots himself. And Fred in the same ilk. But now with this team, we've got guys that are actually real point guards. And you can tell because they're measured with their passes. And they're very smart. Like there was that one alley-oop pass that was thrown to Chris Boucher by Jamal Shead that was just picture perfect. In fact, the way that he threw that pass to Chris couldn't have fucked up that dunk. And that's what I'm talking about. If you have a real point guard, you have a guy that knows how to get assists, they serve it up on a silver platter. They make it so that like this dude can't fuck this up. And that pass, that alley-oop pass from Shed at the top of the key to Chris Boucher on that alley-oop was absolutely perfect, where Chris had nowhere. He could not screw that up because he threw it so perfectly. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what real point guards are doing when they set up their guys to not fail. And that's what I'm saying. I've wanted point guards that could do this for our team for so long right now. And in some ways, last night was a joy because we had a big man that was dominating down low, which I've loved to see, the Raptors having a big man that dominates down low. And then we had point guards that were actually setting up people with really good assists where they couldn't screw it up. Oh my gosh. So good. But yeah, those are my 5 stars of the game. There are a lot of other players I should bring up and talk about also. Obviously, Grady Dick and some other players. We will talk about them down the road too. Yeah, Trevor's saying Raptors defense is I don't know what that word is. Stifling? Is that you're trying to spell stifling? Okay. Davion and Shed, they are 2 monsters. Yeah. Yeah. And then with Scott as a bigger, like kind of same kind of energy, this is what it is. Like I was calling Scott a couple years ago, Mr. 94 feet, because he liked to pick up people 94 feet as they brought the ball up the court and just hound them and annoy them and just really be a pain in the ass. Well, now we got like 3 Mr. 94 feet. As far as there's 3 guys that are going to catch people coming up the court and just hound the hell out of them all the way. And that one play where all 3 of them were hounding them, the Nets threw it out of bounds because they were hounded so much. So that's really cool. That's going to be a lot of fun. And the fact that they're directing so much energy on defense in that kind of way is fantastic. The fact that Boucher and Pirtle are taking care of glass duties and really cleaning up the glass and really boxing out and playing really, really good on the defenses allows for other guys to really roam and be aggressive on defense in crazy ways. And this is very interesting. This is a lot different than any of the defenses the Raptors have ran in the last few years under Nick Nurse or even last year's team. This is a very strange Raptors team that I've never seen before, ever in the history of the Raptors. And I'm very excited about the new look and the new energy on our defense right now. It's very, very, very intriguing. And we're going to have to see what happens, man. We're going to have to see what happens. Yeah, Trevor's saying IQ doing the shimmy. That was funny. Yeah, a little shoulder shrug, laying on the ground. He felt good. It was probably a lot of fun for him to return. Him battling with Dennis is always fun. I'm sure there was some talking going on there. And, of course, he had other friends on the court in different places too. And he's back in New York, even though it's Brooklyn. And, there's a lot of eyes on Quickly in that way. I think Quickly, we did exactly what we wanted to do with Quickly. We got him a little taste of action before the season starts. And you know what? He looked fine. Like Jack said, it looked like Emmanuel hasn't missed a beat. And he's fine, and he's ready to go for the regular season. That's all we wanted to do last night. That was our big thing to do with Emmanuel Quickly, was to check off, is this guy ready for the season? And yeah, he is. He's ready for the season. That's right. Cowboys here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Winning. That's right. Chef Darko is him. I really like what I've seen from Abaji. Keep up the great work. Yeah. Oshai is fitting in more and more. And people are saying, the thing is, what do the Raptors need to do to get better? They need to make individual leaps better, each one. And Grady's made a leap, I can tell. Oshai's made a leap also. It seems like Oshai's better and more consistent than he was last season. And, well, I'm going to say this right now. Scotty has made a leap. He's made a leap from something like he was last year, just an ordinary all-star, to being an all-NBA player. This guy is dominating. There's things that Scotty's doing right now that are very high level and very dominant. And I love it. I was saying to Scott, you could do anything down low near the basket. And he was doing that last night. They can't stop him. There's nobody strong enough and fast enough to combo guard him in that kind of way, like with the combination of stuff. He's either going to be too small or you're either going to be too slow when it comes to Scotty Barnes. And he's going to dissect which one it is. And he's going to take it to you the way that it needs to be done. And yeah, I love the dominance and the patience in the lane of Scott with the footwork and the stepping, and then the really nice touch and some of the shots that were close to the basket and going in, very much going in. And then later, okay, third quarter, let's bomb some threes and do some heartbreakers to them. And the way those threes went through, he's worked very hard on those shots, and those aren't flukes. And this guy's shooting percentage for three-pointers is going to be up. In fact, after not shooting very well from three at the start of the preseason, Scotty's made like 8 of 14 threes now in the last couple games. So this is really, really big deal. Scotty's increase in 3-point shooting is going to be a huge, huge boon for the Raptors. Nako's saying, remember, fantasy draft tomorrow. That's right. Tomorrow on this channel, on this show, 9:30 a.m., we're going to be doing our Yahoo Raptor Freak fantasy draft. So be ready and show up. In some ways, we want to have a very active competitive league, and we do not want deadbeat managers. And it's right from the start, we're going to do our draft tomorrow. So do not miss it. If you're one of the 16 teams, please come and participate. You don't want to be on auto draft. You're going to get all the people like Ben Simmons if you don't. That's right. That's right. You're going to get Ben Simmons if you don't come to the draft tomorrow. All right, let's see. Let's see. Superfan Monique Lawrence is here. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Great game too close for comfort, but I'll take it. Well, let's talk about why that happened. I mean, really, honestly, we dominated them with our starters. And the only person for the Nets that was doing very well was Cameron Johnson. That guy is a bucket. And that dude was overused. In fact, that's been happening in this preseason. It's almost like Jordy saying, yeah, give the ball to Cam and just let him shoot over and over again. Which one? Johnson, not Thomas. Let him shoot it over and over and over again. The man got 32 points or something like that last night. He was doing almost all the heavy lifting for the Nets. So in some ways, look, we dominated them with our starters. And then in the fourth quarter, we put in our bench with they still had some of their starters in there. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, Cameron Johnson was still in the game with 5 minutes to go. And we were playing our third team. We were playing our third team against like almost their first team. And well, they ate up the lead and they made it close by the end of the game. But that's fine. In some ways, it was a good test for our team, the youngsters, to hold them off. Darko likes that kind of coaching chess where it's like, okay, it's close now. Y'all need to be worried. We need to tighten up and we need to execute in a closer game to stop them from coming and stealing the game at the end. But that's totally because we put the bench in. That game would have been on cruise control till the end, and we would have just whooped them by double digits if we had just left the starters in, obviously. But putting in guys like Carton and Ramsey and Jamison Battle and Shamshay, well, they didn't play very well. That's not gonna lie. That team came out there and stunk the bed. They could not score for the longest time in the fourth quarter, and the Nets were scoring it at will, and they ate up the lead. So they made it a little bit stressful at the end. But once again, in some ways, that didn't matter because even if we had lost the game last night, we had dominated their first team and kicked their ass, and we all know that we were the better team from that. So I know it was a little tight, and people were sweating at the end of the game. But honestly, I wasn't worried about it. I never thought we would lose, Monique. I never got nervous about it at all. I also thought it's like, yeah, they're going to try and do this. But you know what will happen? They'll get close. Darko will coach the team very well, even if he doesn't have his best players out there. And he will protect them from taking the loss at the end. And that's kind of what happened. So it was a good test. In some ways, it actually works out really well that they get a close manage the game kind of system situation at the end of the game last night. That's good for teaching. And that's good for young players like the squads that we had out there. But yeah, they shut the bed. They were really bad in that fourth quarter, allowing the Nets to come back and make it close by the end. But good execution at the end and no problem, still get the W. And that's the thing. But when you take the starters out, there's no issue. There's no issue at all. That's right. Yeah, Monique's stars of the games are IQ, Scotty, Chris, Yak, and Oshai, and Davion. So she has some different names than me. I mean, I'll go look at these guys too, because honestly, there were a lot of good performances on the game. All right, we'll go down the guys that I didn't talk about. So Grady Dick, he was actually really good last night. If he had shot better, he would have been one of my stars of the game. But 5 of 14 from the field. He got a lot of shots. But you know what? Some of the stuff that Grady did was very impressive. Like, he was a very grown man in this game last night. The aggressiveness of going the hoop and challenging guys and taking it right to them. There was that one play where he went right down the lane and it went around and fell in. That was a very strong play against stronger players than him, and he willed the ball into the basket. And then also, I really love that Grady made the first shot of the game for the Raptors. That, they jumped out on us at the beginning of the game and bombed a bunch of threes on us, Dennis and Cameron Johnson, and it didn't look good. We were down like 11-0 right at the start. And Grady just took his time and took a nice little dribble in shot from the baseline, and he rattled it in. And that was very important because in some ways, Grady's a settle down guy. You can think about how hard it was for the Raptors to score at the beginning of games sometimes, and games in recent years, where we just can't settle down and get somebody who's just money to just make a shot to open up the scoring. And we're down by 20 to the team already because we just don't get going at the beginning of the game. Well, Grady doing something like what he did to open up the scoring for the Raptors last night is really solid. And I like seeing it. But yeah, overall, he didn't shoot that great, 2 of 8, but he did have some key threes that were really awesome times. I really loved the look off pass that Emmanuel threw to Grady when he was acting like he was going to shoot the three, and then he just flipped it over to Grady to the left of him. And Grady bombed the three and made it there. Those were 2 threes that Grady made at very opportune times. One was kind of in a transition period. But yeah, Grady was great at attacking the basket. That was probably even more impressive, especially that one play I just talked about where he went in and rattled it around with defenders around him. And then also, he wanted to come up there and jam it on people. Like he was going to rise up and throw it down on people. So Grady's being very aggressive and showing very strong play near the rim, which is interesting. Very, very interesting. So yeah, Grady was awesome. 6 rebounds for Grady, 1 assist, and also 2 blocks, which was very interesting. Grady getting some block shots last night. Very, very cool. Only 12 points for Grady, though. But honestly, he was a catalyst for scoring at the beginning of the game, and he played in ways that were very powerful near the basket. So I was very impressed. Chris Boucher was fine out there. Chris got hurt at one point, hitting his knee, and had to leave the game. But I wouldn't worry about that, Raptors fans. That's the normal knee-knocking kind of stuff that happens around the league. 10 points for Chris, 3 of 8 from shooting. He got this in 11 minutes, 2 of 4 from 3. The 2 threes were very, very slick and nice. 2 for 2 at the free throw line, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal. Yeah, Chris just a solid game, not too flashy, not one of the best players on the court for us, but still contributing with a couple of threes and hustling around and doing the stuff that he does. In some ways, Chris had a very, very strong preseason. And, as much as you're saying you think that Jamal Shed is a concrete spot in the rotation, I think that Chris Boucher does. I think that he does. Bruno Fernando, a great game in his last preseason game for the Raptors this year, plus 12. With 3 for 3 shooting, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block, 1 turnover. Yeah, Bruno was, like I said, in some ways, I opened my eyes to the idea that, look, maybe we don't have enough depth at the center and that we do need to just guarantee him. And Jamison Battle can go to the 905 and still be in our system and still working through things and eventually come up here. In some ways, we may very much need Bruno. And I can understand why Blackhawk said that. So I'm switching, seriously. As much as I love Jamison, we don't lose Jamison if we don't sign him. We lose Fernando completely, and we lose that attachment to a big man. And in some ways, Fernando is the replacement for Koloko, who possibly could have came to us. But hell, Koloko's still not even cleared to play. So it is what it is. But yeah, cool stuff from Fernando. Enough of good stuff that I was okay with it. He did have a bad turnover here. He may have lost the rebound on a free throw that was a miss by the Nets. That was really bad when he lost that. And the net snuck around him and took the ball and made a basket around him. That was really bad. But there was enough stuff. Like he even showed really nice passing ability to catch and lay a ball in from fast passes coming to him near the basket. So you know what? I'm starting to warm up to Bruno, even if he's not a perfect player. We need his player type. I really do believe that. Jamison Battle came in for 9 minutes. He hit his obligatory 3, which was nice. 1 of 2, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Minus 13 though with 3 points. Yeah, that lineup stunk. They got their ass handed to them by the Nets players and really got outscored badly in that fourth quarter. So in some ways, I can't give too many kudos to that team. Even Mobo, 13 minutes, 1 point. He made 1 of 2 free throws. He missed all of his shots, but he had 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. And so Jonathan was okay. Jonathan came out there and he did certain stuff. In some ways, Jonathan is just really happy to be on the Raptors, and Scotty's really happy to have him on the Raptors too. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. In some ways, against top-level teams in this league, Jonathan will get exposed, and he will not look good in certain ways just because of a lack of experience. Let's just put it that way. Garrett Temple did get into the game last night. He was actually dressed to play, and they put him in late. And we had a fun little we had a fun little battle between the two NBA vets of Schroeder and Temple. Those guys are best friends. Garrett Temple and Dennis Schroeder really bonded last year while Dennis was on the Raptors. And it was fun to kind of see Dennis and Garrett talking trash, going at each other in the last quarter of the game. That was pretty fun. But Garrett got out there. He missed both his shots, only got a rebound. Some people are going to say why he's on our team, but we all know the reason why he's on our team. And it's really, really good reason. And yeah, Garrett looked fine out there in some ways. He was just going through the motions, running the team, but he didn't really produce anything. And it was kind of fun to see him John with Dennis for a little while there. Shamshay, we went over a bit. He had 1 for 1, 2 rebounds and a block. And yeah, that block was awesome. The no. And then also, I love the inbounds play where he caught free and they got him and he hung on the rim and then he like pointed at the bench at the same time. Shamshay was such an energy guy last night. In the little bit of time he's out there, you can tell he's raring to go. He's like a dog who's on a leash that's pulling the owner to the dog park. And he is so ready to play and just show what he can do. But little by little, Shamshay, let's not rush you. We got to do all the steps in the right order, just like Darko said. And in some ways, you're going to come in little gifts over time for a while. And we're just going to have to let it happen on the pace and the timing that it's supposed to. Because we don't want to screw you up, man. You're a top-level prospect, and you're going to be badass in the end. You really are. It's just we need to enjoy the process and not wish too much for Orish too quickly. We've got to really allow him to do things in the right order, guys. And I'm going to say that over and over again. But, man, the flashes of stuff is awesome. Like I said, his impulse was to run after that guy and block him in that fast break opportunity for the Nets. And he didn't, but he will in the future. Trust me, he will. Davion Mitchell, 19 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field, 1 for 4 at the free throw line. Only 1 point for Davion, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. But the passes from Davion were top notch, like I said. And I love having such great passing point guards, real point guards that really look for other people over themselves. Shed, Mitchell, and even Quickly to an extent are these kind of guys. And that's fantastic. And then you add in the great passing of Scotty, the great passing of Jakob. And we're seeing great passing from people like Grady Dick also. We know Kelly can pass too. There's a lot of good passing on our team, really high-level passers. And I love it. I love so many assists. And I love how the Raptors are doing things under Coach Roy Yakovich. So fun. So fun. Jamias Ramsey, 2 for 4, 4 for 5 at the free throw line. No stats, really. 2 turnovers, minus 13 with 8 points. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jamias, in some ways, he's just not consistent enough. In some ways, making mistakes here and there in some ways that I'm not interested this year. And last year I was, but this year I'm not. DJ Carton, 1 for 2 with 1 assist and 2 steals, minus 13 with 3 points. Yeah, everybody who played in the fourth quarter kind of didn't look that good. So, yeah, we didn't see Brendan Carlson or Jared Rhoden come into the game there. Yeah, there we go. Boom, 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 boom. Cowboys saying, can we say Papa Scotty is a legit 3-point shooter? What do you think? Scotty is good. He's improved his 3-point shooting. In some ways, I know this is like a tricky thing to handle. In some ways, we don't want him to get too confident or comfortable just being lazy shooting threes all the time. I like the mix of him taking it inside. And in fact, he's doing it in the right order. It'd be a problem if he came out and he just started bombing threes right from the start of the game. I don't like that. In some ways, you build from the inside out. So Scotty going inside and getting big shots around the lane first in the game last night was the right order. And then do that stuff later. Yeah. In some ways, they got to have to honor him wherever he is. And he's going to be a huge, huge decoy and help to people like Grady Dick and the stuff that they're trying to do. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if they'll give him this kind of moniker. He may just be a great 3-point shooter, and that's it. Monique saying, been a pretty good camp preseason for the Raptors. The vibes are good. Dick looks primed to make a sophomore leap. Abaji looks like he's made strides. Mitchell and Shed look like solid ads. I think you just copied Lewinberg's comment there. I seen that tweet this morning because that is something that Josh wrote. Yeah, I think that it's been a very good preseason for the Raptors. Yeah, they very, very positive, if not with some injuries and stuff, but the opportunities to get the young guys to show stuff and the things that the gains of some of the different individual Raptors as far as what they have done for their preparation for this season and the leaps is there. Yeah, for sure, Mo. I agree with all of this stuff. And yeah, it's really, really good stuff. Mitchell and Shed are looking like solid ads for sure. Yeah, Cowboys saying nice to see Skipley running. Yeah, pass defense quickly. Let's go Raptors. That's right. That's right. Barnes looks regular season ready. That's exactly what Josh wrote. Mo. I know that you just cut and paste that because I read that tweet like just before I came on the stream. Trevor saying, I love how Darko has them team playing FIBA style basketball. Yeah, I do too. It's much more entertaining than the isolation, lazy ass play of the common NBA in recent years. I like a team game. I like a team game where guys are moving around and doing stuff. Now, the thing that's interesting is the biggest difference between the Raptors under Nick Nurse and the Raptors under Coach Darko is that the Raptors, when they don't have the ball, are moving constantly and they're deriving more opportunities. Now, last year, Darko was a rookie coach and he couldn't really work and establish certain things with his system because in some ways the cast of characters changed a lot over that time. There was a lot of changing with Siakam and Anunoby leaving. Well, this year, there's something different that's going on. If you really pay attention, you understand as what coaches do is what it is that these guys have set patterns that they run on off of the ball. And that is like a philosophy that Coach Fernandez has, but Rajakovic shares with him. That they've realized that a lot of waste on the court is when players just stand around watching the one guy with the ball do stuff. They could be doing things that can help derive offense. And that's by moving, cutting, switching and screens and stuff. So the one thing you may notice this year about the Raptors on offense is that everybody's moving all the time. There's no guy just camping out in the corner waiting for the ball on a three-point shot. There's very little of that. There's always kind of a mixing and churning around of the components on the court to try and derive and allow open opportunities to happen for the players to get high percentage shots. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, last year, they couldn't establish exactly the pattern of how these guys were most supposed to move off the ball. It could be very confusing if they're not totally set up and organized right, especially since Kelly and RJ and Emmanuel showed up in the middle of the season. And they didn't really get the orientation, the proper build to understand the system that Darko wants. Well, he's had all summer to work with them now, and he is showing that the off-ball movement by the Raptors as a collective group is allowing their offense to generate really easy, good shots off of really good assists. And that's the beautiful thing. In some ways, the stuff where they're doing underneath the basket with the cuts of Oshai and Grady catching the ball underneath there, that is very much practice on purpose. And this is something that they're looking for like crazy. Like Scotty said in his interview the other day, when Grady cuts the basket like that, it's a real easy drop-off pass for him to make it. There was one pass coming to Grady last night that Scott put a lot on. And it would have been an out-of-bounds play that Grady wouldn't have caught. But Grady is such good hands. And somebody said this in practice this week, that we could throw the ball to Grady and it's a horrible pass. I think it was Davion. And he'll make me look good by making sure he still catches it or saves it. And that pass that Scotty threw to Grady with way too much mustard would have gone out of bounds. But Grady's such a good player. He saved it and didn't fall out. All at the same time, got it to Jakob, who Jakob kind of bobbled it around, and then he collected it and then had a nice, easy, high percentage shot near the basket. So very, very cool, good stuff right there. So it's the movement off the ball on offense that's a huge key for the Raptors this year so far. It's really, really cool. Cowboys saying, I agree 100%, Trevor. Let's go Darko. Coach of the year, perfect fit for the Raptors. Well, he can get coach of the year if he makes us have a higher win total than everybody thought they should have this year. If we get like the 41 plus that y'all are talking about, then he will be in the running for being coach of the year. Trust me. We could really see that. Cowboys saying, rely on Masai. That's right. That's right. Let's go. Monique saying exactly the type of defensive intensity Darko wants his team to play with, and nice to get IQ some run ahead of opening night. He looked good. This is still Josh's stuff. It's all good, Mo. If you want to put in Josh Lewenberg's tweets, that's fine. Let's see. Nako saying, God, Ben Simmons is so bad. He's just lazy. In some ways, this is why I tell Scott, don't try and be like Ben Simmons. I like that matchup between Barnes and Ben, that it was fun. In some ways, Scotty wanted to guard Ben Simmons last night because he has a lot of respect and love for his all-round kind of player build. Not necessarily for his career, Scott, but that matchup between Scotty and Ben Simmons is fun. And in some ways, you could see, like, look, Ben Simmons was an anointed golden boy by the NBA years ago, and he was a fraud, obviously. In some ways, he has a whole lot of skill and talent for his size in certain ways, but he has never realized it in the right way, in any kind of way. They gave him too much too early, and he didn't earn it. And well, he believed in his own bullshit, and he's never grown since. And that's just who he is at this point. And well, Scotty is not like him. No, he's not, because Scotty's going to continue to strive. Scotty got his bag this summer, and he's even better than ever now that he's a $500 million man. And well, when Ben Simmons became a $500 million man, he started to just sit on the bench all the time. So yeah, they're totally different kinds of people in their way that they operate. Ben Simmons is a loser, and he still continues to be one today. That's right. There you go. There's Scotty on blast with Canadian Dana in the chat. Great to see Dana back in the chat. Love to see it. Cowboys saying alley-oop to Nako. We can do that. We can do that. Let's put Nako the Nacho with a dunk on that one for sure. Boom goes the dynamite. Boom goes the dynamite. Where's Nako? There he is. All right, we're going to give him a 5-pointer. You're at 50, Nako. You got 50 dunks now. Nako the Nacho at 50. There you go. Let's see. G saying Yak Attack, Papa Scotty, high IQ, and gang looking good. There you go. G's got the sheet, the people. That's right. Yak Attack for sure. Man, he's so good. I love Yak so much. And it's true. He's gotten better since last year, which is weird because in some ways he's pretty far in his career, but there's certain things he's doing even better this year than he did last year, which is fantastic. Kaz is saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Good morning to Kaz off the road. It's the weekend, baby. And Kaz is at home. That's right. He's excited for the fantasy draft tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Be there or be square. Got to pick your teams, guys. Roger that. Let's see. Nako saying Cam Thomas and Schroeder should ask out. What do you mean? Should ask out? What do you mean? Should ask out those girls? You know, Dennis has Ellen. He's fine. He's married. Who do they got to ask out? You mean leave? What? Nah, listen, I mean, I would say this. Dennis Schroeder probably will leave the Nets at some point. He has an attractive contract. It runs out at the end of this year. And in some ways, he's helpful to a veteran team that may be trying to put a playoff push. But a lot of those young players that are there, they're going to be around there. You mean Cam Johnson when you said he should leave. Because Cam Thomas is not the better Cam. Cam Johnson is the one who put up all the points last night for the Nets. In fact, let's look at him real quick. 11 of 21, 7 of 14 from 3. Insane. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 32 points for Cameron Johnson, who was absolutely unstoppable. The way he was bombing, he hit that big shot right at the end of the half. Yeah, he was nasty. In some ways, he was the whole show for them. And, Jalen Wilson of Kansas, he had his moments here and there. He was playing against Grady a lot in this game. That was fun. Dennis had that 3 at the beginning, but he wasn't overall that good last night. Honestly, Dennis had the worst plus minus of everybody on the Nets. 12 points. He was a minus 15. He really only got 3 assists, which is weird. Ben Simmons, a joke, 2 for 2 with 4 points. He did have 8 rebounds and 6 assists. But yeah, he's just not doing enough. It was very cool to see Zaire Williams, who's an old pupil of Coach Rajakovic from Memphis. There was a very nice moment after the game where Coach Darko went and talked to Zaire. Zaire was very happy to see an old mentor of his. Zaire's in a bad place in his career. He's on the Nets, and he's in trouble, maybe not being in the league in the next few years. He's got to really get it together because they had a stunted growth on Zaire Williams recently, and that's never a good sign when you got a stunted growth from that YouTube channel on you. So, yeah, that was interesting. Clowney was in real foul trouble early. He was causing all kinds of fouls all over the place. But, yeah, nothing of real note with the Nets. Of course, they'll be different with Claxton and a couple of their other guys that have been hurt, like Bogdanovich. They'll be a little bit better, but they're going to have a very, very long season, and they're not going to be very good. I'm going to say that right now. They're going to have a very, very, very long season. Yeah, Cowboys saying, how many points did Dennis end up with? I just said it. He ended up with 12, just 12 points. He could have had way more. It was kind of fun to see Dennis out there last night. Kaz saying Grady had a solid block. Yeah, Grady's so awesome at this point. He really is a cool player. I was really impressed with the refs. I told y'all about Tyler Ford. There was that one point where we had a shot clock violation, but Tyler went ahead and called a foul on them and gave us possession still. I was like, yeah, Tyler's looking out for us. Tyler Ford, you were awesome, man. And, I know Jack was getting mad about the challenges and them taking so long, but Jack, shut up, man. Listen to what Tyler's saying. When he says the team is taking a timeout, that's just a common timeout. Coaches are going to call timeout, Jack. And we're going to do timeouts for challenges now. Just let it happen. You're all getting the people all upset and saying, oh, I hate how long this takes and all this stuff. Dude, let them get it right. I'm sorry. If Tyler Ford's going to go over there and watch cartoons for a second, at least he's not taking like 10 minutes like Tony Brothers. And honestly, I'd rather them get over there and look at it and do it right and talk about it than rush it and get it wrong. And honestly, with a coach like with a referee like Tyler Ford, he's doing it right. They really analyzed some of the challenge calls last night, and they did a good job, especially that one with Scotty when he had his back to the play and he was trying to go for the ball at the same time. They called a foul on him. That was a valuable challenge. In fact, Darko, very smart to call it. And he had his own play on the ball, and it wasn't a foul on Scott, and they changed it. And then they showed Darko and Scotty afterwards smiling, and Darko saying, see, I got your back. Don't worry. That was something Darko said after the challenge call that didn't get called the other night against the Celtics when Scotty freaked out and the ball was out of bounds on them and they gave the ball to the Celtics. Yeah, he got really mad that we didn't call a challenge fast enough. But Darko said afterwards, that was a good learning opportunity, and he's glad it happened that way. And in some ways, he also said this. He's talked to the Raptors about how we're going to do challenges this year. And when he wants to be able to call it, he doesn't, because in some ways these players are crazy. They start doing this stuff and they're like, challenge. They start yelling at the coaches. We don't want to do that. We want it organized so that they know when to do it, because it's a bad look with so many different NBA players around the league always asking the coach for challenges and then they don't get them. Or maybe they even call the challenge and the coach is like, I didn't want you to call a challenge at that. So Darko's getting on the same page with the Raptors on what is the protocol for how we do our coaches' challenges. And in some ways that there was some of that talk already because of the missed challenge against the Celtics earlier this week. And Darko called the challenge for Scott and he saved him a foul and he saved possession for the Raptors. So there were a few challenges last night, both sides getting a correct challenge. And then Jordy losing his second challenge late in the game when he challenged something. The Nets lost that challenge. So good challenge by Darko early to save Scott that foul on a play that obviously was him just going for the ball, just like the Nets player also. So, yeah, that was very interesting right there. Very, very interesting. The referees were awesome. Even Ray Acosta didn't show any hometown favoritism for his hometown. At times, he did call against the Nets in different places. So, very well-reffed game last night. Very, very well-reffed game in a very aggressive game. But it was one of those games where the refs were very active early. And I was like a little bit of a red flag when I saw how quickly the Brooklyn Nets were in the bonus and they were actually getting free throws really quick. I'm like, man, this is kind of early. Once again, like 5 minutes of the game and the Nets are already on the bonus. And I'm like, that's a little fishy. That's a little fishy. But it all evened out in the end. And I thought that Tyler Ford was exemplary as a referee last night. Hey, listen, if you're going to call it should have been a 24-second shot clock violation and say, oh, there's a foul. Somebody hit Jonas on the arm right at the end of it and bail us out and give us the ball still. You're my friend, Tyler Ford. You are my friend. That was really a good bailout for us right there. G saying that Shamshay has a ton of energy. Once he reins it in a bit, the potential is really good. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. The athleticism's off the charts. The long arms, the long strides, the long wingspan for blocking shots, the offensive capabilities that are possible down the road. The fact that he dribbled down the court and got all crazy and lost the ball right before he got there's something that's going to be built off of that. And it's going to be very, very nice. Very, very nice. Prince Shamshay. That's right, guys. Fiercely saying good morning, fam, and happy Saturday. Great win yesterday. The energy was fire. This is so true. It was so fun. It was such a fun game. And the aggressiveness of our team is really fun to watch, whether it's aggressiveness by Scotty on offense, whether it's aggressiveness by the whole entire team on defense, causing turnovers and causing shit disturbance for the Nets on their offense. Man, next Wednesday is going to be fun when we open our regular season against the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Scotiabank Arena on Wednesday night. It's going to be awesome. I'm so looking forward to it. And you know what? I have a lot more hope for the Raptors this season after preseason than I did at the beginning of preseason. In some ways, I was like, we can look at the schedule. We can see how tough the things are ahead for the Raptors. But you know what? I feel like we've got a pack that's ready to meet the challenge and give it their best shot and have some success mixed in with the failure. Because honestly, I don't expect them to go crazy and win 10 games in a row. I don't expect them to win maybe even half their games, but they're going to steal games against playoff teams that they had no business winning against if they come lackadaisical against us. And then Emmanuel quickly saying in practice interview this week, the thing that's going to surprise everybody about the Raptors is how hard we work. I think that we saw that last night. And this could be a real problem for people, especially because Scott has figured out something very, very key, that he is dangerous when he's aggressive and he's coming downhill. He said when he plays with force, they don't know how to deal with him. And that may be the biggest difference between Scotty last year and this year, is that Scotty is aggressively coming at them with force down the court, and he is coming into the lane, and he is not stopping. And in some ways, either he's going to go up himself or he's going to dump it off to somebody, and they're going to get easy layup next to him because he draws so much attention. So he figured it out. When he comes downhill on them and he comes with force, the other team's in trouble. There was a play early in the game where Scott got a position in the lane, but he dumped it out to Oshai and he missed a three. Scott, don't do that. You get all the way in there and you have the ability to elevate over your defender, take it up. If you get to that spot of the court, if you can get inside in the lane, it's not a better shot if you dump it out to somebody else. It depends on whether the double's coming at you. But sometimes I felt like there was a shot last night early in the game where you passed it out and you had established good position in the lane for a very high percentage shot that you should have took. And that may have been one of those moments where Darko's showing you in the film room this morning, this is where you could have been more aggressive and called your own number 4, is when that so you know the play I'm talking about. If you were watching the game very closely last night, you can know the play I'm talking about. There's a play there where Scott should have just elevated because he had the established he got the real estate down low. And you get down there, you're so close, you might as well take it yourself, Scott. That's what I'm saying right there. G saying, when I say rein it in, I mean use the energy for his strengths. He was trying to dribble quickly and lost the ball, etc. I like his confidence. We've got to remember, this kid is so raw. He's been playing basketball for like 6 or 7 years, and he's such a raw athletic talent, but he doesn't have all of the schooling and all the different things. There's going to be a lot of things he's going to have to figure out, but he's going to be fantastic. I can already tell. In some ways, there's a lot of parallels to him and Giannis. And we got to, in some ways, you want to really understand what Ulrich could become and how he could develop over time. Just look at Antetokounmpo's path. And if you look at early, young Giannis Antetokounmpo, the things that are happening with Shamshe right now are very much similar. Let's just put it that way. So let's just not get it twisted here. We could very much gotten our Giannis in Ulrich Shamshe. Seriously, he could be that dude. He has all the same physical gifts as Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm telling you right now, he really does. Let's see. Fiercely saying at Cowboy, yeah, Scotty hitting threes is money. He's so confident. In some ways, it's not a bad shot. The second three he took in the third quarter was contested. He had the guy right in front of him, and he didn't care. He was right near the baseline, the sideline, and he shot it right in his face, and it went swish. And the thing is, when Scotty's hitting these threes, they're not hitting the rim. They're going right through the middle. Very, 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 very right through the middle. Very, very nice. Yeah, Kaz is saying Ben Simmons is a trash clown. That's what he's calling him right now. Energy was next level. That's right, Monique. That energy was badass. The vibes are coming from the Afrobeats and the good times and the team loving each other, and they're going to the court. I really do feel like Bobby and Masai were smart, and they're getting these synergies together. It's like Davion Mitchell and Jacoby Walter, Oshai Abaji and Grady Dick, Jonathan Mobo, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly. These guys all have bonds and friendships that mean more than just basketball. And in some ways, this is bringing out a more all for one for all kind of attitude in this team. I'm telling you. And they're very, very genuinely happy for each other's success. And that's not very common in competitive professional sports. There's always some deep-seated, like, I want to be in that guy's spot. And in some ways, I don't really like that guy in some ways. Well, these guys all genuinely want to see each other succeed, and they're not getting in the way of each other. They want to help each other. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing right there. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Cowboy saying, who's Ben Simmons? Let's see. Cowboy saying, Papa Scotty is unstoppable. He keeps shooting those three-pointers, keep morphing. Okay. Kaz is saying, if our record stays above or near 500, Scotty has a chance for all NBA. I think that may be right. I think that may be right because the people won't expect it. You know, in some ways, he may get it still if he just if he. The thing is, he has to be consistently this badass. This way he showed up in the last couple games. If he could do this the whole entire year, he's all NBA. I'm sorry, because it's undeniable just how powerful he is in these last two games. That game against Boston on Tuesday, he absolutely was the best player on the court with people like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown out. Scotty got asked later on that week and said, you're playing against Jason Tatum. Do you get up for him? Do you like make it a little bit more extra because you're playing against Jason Tatum, a champion? And Scotty said this, and he's so awesome. And this is the way he handles his media, and it's very smart. They're all champions. It doesn't matter. It's just Jason. They're all champions. He doesn't let anybody have any big up on him. In fact, in some ways, Scotty's media trained to not make problems by calling out people. In some ways, he could say, yeah, playing against Jason Tatum is like a dream because I'm playing against the best in the league and I want to absolutely destroy them and beat them like I did. No, he's not giving any fuel to the fire. And somebody's like, yeah, you named Jason Tatum. I'm not going to take your bait. I'm not going to go and say something to kiss Jason Tatum's ass right now. I'm not going to say anything special about him. In fact, I'm just going to say they're all champions and they're a very good team. Yeah, that's very smart by Scott. And in some ways, he's very, very measured about questions from the media where they try and ask him about things. He did the same thing with LeBron in the first season when LeBron threw the ball at him and he started talking about LeBron. He was like, they wanted him to say something, get something out of Scott. In some ways, a word bite or something, you know, and Scotty wouldn't give it to them. He won't give it to them. In some ways, he does the same shit on his Twitch stream. People try and get him to big up people. And in some ways, he's not always doing that. That's why it means so much that he big up Fred VanVleet recently and said that Fred is one of the leaders that taught him how to be a leader in his early career here in Toronto. So, you know, once again, I'll say it, that idiot who runs another YouTube channel, you're wrong because Scotty looks up to Fred and he was very, very happy he got to play with him in his career. So, yeah, it's so stupid. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. G saying, I don't even care if Shed can shoot. We need that dog. We need that dog. You know, I do care that he can shoot and he needs to be able to shoot. But that three-pointer that he made last night was very good. And I loved him going to the basket a couple different ways last night, especially the two-handed dunk. That's very fun. I don't remember Fred VanVleet throwing it down with two hands or even Kyle Lowry. You remember those guys ever throwing it down with two hands? I never saw that. But yeah, Jamal's showing that he can score in some ways a little bit more consistently. That's going to be very important. He's not going to be able to be in the league if he can't shoot. So you can say you don't care if he can shoot. I do. I care. I do because I want him to not be a liability. Fiercely saying, poor Schroeder playing 52 minutes. I shouldn't laugh, but he plays a lot of minutes and it's telling they lack a good bench. Yeah, I don't think he played that many minutes. He played 35. He played 35. You're being exaggerating. Yeah, listen, Dennis is a pro. Dennis plays in the NBA. He gets an NBA salary and he gets to play a sport that's fun to him for a living. He's not unhappy. In some ways, he understands the assignment and he's taking it. And it's being a mentor and teaching these young Nets right now. And he that's what he would have done for us. And he was doing for us when he was here. So, you know, it is what it is. He's just glad to be in this league. But don't be surprised if Dennis gets traded this season to a bigger contender that's in the playoffs. And he's actually very helpful to them by the end of the year. Yeah, G saying, but I have a full faith Shed will become a good scorer. You can just tell he has a strong work ethic. Yeah, he knows his weaknesses. He's got work on them. And once again, it's not like Fred showed up in his first year on the Raptors and was gangbusters and doing all kinds of stuff. Fred came in kind of undercover, and he didn't really appear and make himself really known until his second year. So we got to allow Jamal the ability to go to 905 and play there and build up the new bench mob down there, leading it just like Freddie did. It's got to be a very much a similar recipe for success as the original bench mob. And we need to allow Jamal, Ulrich, and all these guys to go and do their work in Mississauga and stop expecting them to just do everything on the main level right away. If we do this the right way, we'll get the right effect of the bench mob with Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Jakob Poeltl, and Norman Powell from before. We've got to do this correctly, though. And y'all can't get ahead of yourselves and just say, oh, let's just play these guys in a rotation. No. Everything in its good time and way it's supposed to be is what I'm saying right here. Yeah. Wayne's saying, what's the story with Kelly? I have no problem with us not being totally fit early on, but not giving up on games, but just get gelling with our most competitive, competent crew and dominate these sub 500 teams. Well, don't worry about Kelly. I would say this. It's very interesting. Neither one of the Team Canada guys came to Brooklyn last night to play against their coach. How about that? Did you realize that? Think about that. RJ Barrett and Kelly Olynyk did not even get on a plane to leave Canada to come to Brooklyn. They stayed here in Toronto to stay healthy. Now, Garrett, the old man, he suited up and came out there and played. Of course, he has ties to the Brooklyn Nets, playing for them in the past. And in some ways, Garrett did want to get some preseason minutes, obviously. That's why he got in the game last night. But Kelly Olynyk's had back issues in the last week or so. He's had some back spasms, and that's why he's been a DMP. But honestly, with guys like Temple and Olynyk, you don't need to play preseason. In some ways, somebody makes a joke. It's like, why are you not playing in preseason? What's your injury? Oh, old. That's what it is. I'm just old. I don't need to do preseason. The 82-game season is a long enough season enough that Kelly Olynyk didn't even really need to play in preseason. Now, he did. He played in the beginning of preseason, and he got a couple games in early. But Kelly's fine. Don't get it twisted. Don't worry about his back. In some ways, it's an excuse injury for him to miss some of the preseason games, allow young guys to get the minutes instead. And you know what? Him and RJ didn't even come to Brooklyn last night. In some ways, they really love and respect their Team Canada coach. And in some ways, having their energy there was not probably good for us being cutthroat to come at Jordy. Because they, in some ways, we got to think about that. And we didn't want it to be all happy, rah, rah, right, Wayne Strainer? Because the way we are, right? We want it to be cutthroat, like you're saying. Well, RJ and Kelly were not even in Brooklyn last night. And I'm glad. In some ways, they're going to have to face Coach Jordy at some point as the coach of the Brooklyn Nets. But it wasn't last night. And we know I'm totally fine with Kelly missing games. I know that he's not that hurt, and he'll be available for Wednesday's game to start. So no worries about him. It's called being out because you're old is what it is. That's what it is right there. That's right. Cowboys saying, it's so funny that we have so many great guards. I think it's awesome. It's very refreshing. And in some ways, like I said, having the 1 and the 5 position a lot more dutiful and dependably filled in is a great thing. It's a great thing. We've got options at point guard. And even if we lose a point guard, God forbid, knock on wood, we've got guys that can come up and take their place and do a pretty good job. We lose Kyle Lowry or Fred before, we got to go on Malachi. And I know I bash Malachi a lot, but it is just the damn truth that it is a problem that we've had to rely on Malachi in the past years as our backup point guard. Well, are you worried about putting in either Davion Mitchell, Jamal Shed, or even DJ Carton? As far as these guys are much more dependable and reliable. Yeah. Kaz is saying 100%. And Jimmy Pope is back. The Pope of positivity is back in the chat. I love to see it. It's the beginning of the season. Jimmy's been gone for the summer. And Jimmy, you going to be back regularly? I love to see you back, Jimmy. I'm sneaky optimistic about this team. I am too now. And my eyes are opening up. Like in some ways, every year when we come back, a lot of it is dependent on the strides and the gains that our players make. And seeing what Scotty's done is very, very intriguing and very, very optimistic inducing. Yeah. The fact that Scotty looks like he's ready to be the big boy, to go on the court and absolutely dominate and be a Kobe level kind of like dominating kind of guy on the court. Yeah, this is very appealing and attractive for Raptors Nation. And I'm very optimistic about it also, Jimmy, because as long as Scott is healthy and as long as we're playing real nice, RJ's going to come in and throw his part in too soon. And that'll make us even more nasty. Some people say we don't have a lot of talent. I think that's bullshit. I think that we've got a lot of talent and we're going to surprise people. It's just that they want to discount all our people like Scotty, like RJ, like Emmanuel. Well, they're going to find out that these guys are real deal Holyfields, and RJ Barrett is unstoppable as a scorer. Emmanuel quickly is one of the quickest, craziest offensive players in the whole entire league. And Scotty Barnes is the real deal Holyfield, one of the top players in the league. And they're going to have to recognize it very soon. Jimmy, so good to see you back. The Pope of positivity in the house. I love it, man. G saying, I think Davion really likes being a Raptor. I do too. I think he really does. Let's go look at the Instagram stories, since that kind of has stuff with that. We'll start with Mitchell. He's sitting on the end line wearing the number 45 with the fisheye lens. Somebody taking a picture of it. I think he is really into it. In some ways, like I said, in Sacramento, he was not utilized all the time, and he was kind of an afterthought. He may not have felt that valued. De'Aaron Fox came in, and he's just such a star for them. And in some ways, Davion's like, well, what about me? Well, Sacramento didn't value you, where the Raptors very much value you, and it must be very fun. I think that the camaraderie between the point guards is such a cool little brotherhood. As far as Jamal Shed and Davion Mitchell, they come and show up, and even Emmanuel Quickly, they start pointing at each other like Spider-Man. It's like, hey, you or me? No, you're me. You're me. And like I said earlier, the way that Mitchell plays is going to rub off on Emmanuel Quickly and make him an even better defender, guys. So I'm excited about this. The brotherhood of the guards for the Raptors is really cool. Really, really cool. Guys, Jamal McGlure is putting on blast that Grady Dick is going to be at the Scarborough Town Center in about 3 hours, guys. If you want to go and meet Grady Dick at JD at Scarborough Town Center, he will be there from 2 to 4 today. And Jamal McGlure is saying somebody needs to bring him a box of Jamaican beef patties down there. So somebody go down to Scarborough Town Center and say hi to Grady Dick in a meet and greet and bring him some Jamaican beef patties, like Jamal McGlure said. So, yeah, go on and do it, somebody. But, yeah, if you're in the Scarborough area and you want to meet Grady Dick, 2 to 4 at the Scarborough Town Center, if you want to get in line, you could get an autograph and a picture with him probably. So, yeah, get down there. Yeah, Jamal very much is celebrating the Raptors' great preseason. And there's a picture of him on the court representing the Scarborough Shooting Stars. They're taking some pictures for the CBL, it looks like. But good stuff. There's Slim Duck coming into the game with his fit. I'm telling you, you know what, Chris? The way he made his threes last night were so smooth. Like, it's just got a nice, really nice stroke and the arc and the swish. And I'm telling you, in some ways, Chris has found the flow of life all of a sudden. Like, Chris is in the flow of life. If he was in some sort of consternation or uncomfortableness last year, he found Zen, he found enlightenment to get in the flow of life. And he's in it now. And in some ways, I don't think he can get out of it because he's so happy in it. Chris Boucher is so happy right now. I can tell. And the way he's playing right now is with a certain level of joy that's different than past years with Chris. So I love it. I love it. Chris, you're amazing. And I love that you're a longest standing Raptor. You're a Raptor champion still. And honestly, bro, I want you to continue to just be in the zone right now. And it's not just a zone on the court. It's a zone in life. You're zoning in life, bro. You're on a high level right now. Wubs with some friend of his after the game. He's making funny faces. Jacoby Walter with some nice young ladies. Kira saying, hey, this is Jacoby. Nakira Walter is his sister in the pictures with him. Yeah, and she's got the cool Raptors purple hat on. It's really cool to see the support of the family of Jacoby Walter. Grady Dick at the NBA Players Association Sanctuary in Brooklyn, putting up shots on his Instagram. And then also there's a picture of him walking in wearing looks like some sort of slippers. He's wearing them slippers. Jay Nathan with the shot up over Washington Wizards. Yeah, Jonathan, you're in the NBA, bro. Your friend Scotty got you there, and you got yourself there too. Jamal Shed with the guy saying thumbs up, real studious because he's wearing a tie. And then he's got his crew. They're in a bathroom somewhere. I don't know what's going on there. There he's on the street with his buddy. Saw as they come. Yeah, all right. And then there's him with his little backpack, his rookie backpack. His friends making fun of him. He's like, look at that swag. Look at that little backpack you got, that rookie backpack. It's so goofy. It looks like it's a little like cute Hello Kitty unicorn on it or something like that. Jamal Shed with his backpack. Very, very cool. He's saying, say syrup, and some kid from Houston that he used to play with. Yeah, Norman Powell, action shots from the game that they just had against the Kings in preseason. Norman making the shot. Let's see. Also, he's got George Mumford, who's an author. I guess he met him at the game or something. I don't know. George Mumford and what does that say? He's manifesting something. Eric Smith has closed up his laptop until Monday because he's off. You go, Eric Smith, the Fan 590. Lloyd was at the game last night in Brooklyn. Of course, Lloyd lives in Brooklyn, going to school and university there, best friend of Scott. He had a pretty good seat. It wasn't the best seat, but he's there watching Scotty play, and Jonathan also. They're his good friends. Mari Moore with some friends, Sadiq Moore. He's dialed in. His brother, I guess. He's on another team. Not sure who Sadiq is playing for. But Amari, we're looking forward to seeing you in the 905 this year. Really cool stuff with the Raptors warming up on the Raptors admin page on their Instagram stories. The Raptors 905 are looking for a hero. I'm not totally sure what this is. They want to know who the 905 hero is. So maybe they're looking at old highlights and stuff. Who is your 905 hero? Is what the Raptors 905 are asking. DJ Carton threw down a little windmill dunk in practice at the Players Association gym. And yeah, that's that. That's the Instagram stories for today. All stuff from around the Brooklyn game last night. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite. Cowboys saying Raptors are so stacked like a Big Mac. Nah, I like that with 2 extra patties and a bag of chips. A bag of 30th anniversary Raptors Ruffles, all dressed spicy. That's right. Kaz is saying, I don't get it. They should celebrate Scotty over there. He's American. Well, in some ways, this is the weird thing. It's economics. It's power. In some ways, they don't want Scotty to become bigger and bigger because in some ways, as much as the championship for the Raptors was an economic boon for the country of Canada and the city of Toronto, it really was. And, Vince Carter effect around 2000 had an economic boon for the city of Toronto. In some ways, this is like State Department shit, where it's like the American government's like, we cannot have the Raptors be too popular in certain ways because Canada's GDP will go up. There's dumb shit like that that's underlying that we don't necessarily think about. And in some ways, this is part of the reason why they'll hold down the Raptors. It's purely financials and understanding that, well, this is good business for their country. Don't get it twisted. These countries are weird. There's trade battles between Canada and U.S., and, there's all kinds of weird shit going on all the time that we have no idea about with government, economics, and things like that. So it's partly this. And it doesn't matter he's American. It's that he's up here and that a lot of the money he would generate will come up here. And they don't like that. They don't like that. They saw it with us, Vince. They saw it with our championship. And that's part of the reason on the download the NBA holds back the Raptors is because in some ways, I don't know, the U.S. State Department may be calling Adam Silver and telling them, yeah, we can't have the Raptors do so well because they're helping the GDP of Canada versus the U.S. Something stupid like that. I mean, seriously. Wayne saying, I can buy your Fernando pitch. We don't lose Battle and we don't lose threes as much with IQ, RJ, and Kelly potential. Battle gets more development for when Bruce Brown leaves. Yep, I'm buying Fernando. See, I made a good argument. And in some ways, we were so, like, Battle's just so good, we should just pick him. And in some ways, he did do the best. It's undeniable. Jamison Battle won the battle to make this team. But in some ways, if we're thinking about need and logic, what I proposed earlier makes the most sense. Keep Fernando for depth, for the center, and Battle's still in our system because he's a rookie out of Ohio State, and he can be down there and develop and get more savvy. And honestly, the way he is, I would not bet against him making the main roster down the road. And I think that Wayne gives another good point with IQ, RJ, and Kelly coming back. The three-point shooting is not as a big a hole around Grady and Scotty with them helping. And we got to include people like Davion and Shed. And if Oshai starts hitting his three better this year too, yeah, then that need for Battle to be on our team is not as great. So in some ways, I think the 6 fouls and the big body of Fernando is more valued at this point. It looks like I made a good pitch that I won Wayne over with my logic. Yeah, so we're listening to a Blackhawk on this one and switching it up. HC is here. Wow, it's been a while. HC, you can be here for the draft tomorrow. Listen to the DeMar book on Audible full day while working. Very good book. Very, very good book, isn't it, HC? And welcome back to our Raptors Freak Fantasy League. I hope you'll be here tomorrow to draft your team. Yeah, listen. That book is outstanding. It's cool that you listen to the audio version. Does DeMar actually read it? Do you hear his voice, or is it another person reading it? That'd be kind of cool if it was DeMar reading his own story. I'm very curious about audio books. Is it just a generic person reading it, or is it the author? I feel like it would be so awesome if it was DeMar telling his own story because you can hear the inflection of his voice in certain points. It may be too difficult for him, though, to do the audio book because it's a very painful story above the noise. And at times, there may be parts where he gets a little choked up when he's trying to read the story to you that way. Fantastic stuff. I highly recommend Above the Noise to everybody. Either you read it or you listen to it like HC did. Yeah, the Austrian Hammer in the house, Kaz. So much domination down low. Ben Simmons, you can't do nothing with that guy. Fiercey saying, Jakob had a feast yesterday, and she's got some really good foods here. We got a taco, a burger, a hot dog, a salad, a shawarma, a pizza, some fries, a leg of lamb, looks like some popcorn chicken or no shrimp. That's a pancakes, candy. There's the eye candy. And then there's like that looks like ramen. Wow. Yeah, he was feasting. That's no joke. That's right. Nako saying, I love Herb Jones, but I'm pretty sure the Pelicans are starting that 6'6" shooting guard at center. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about the Pelicans. I'm not paying attention to them. Let's see. Cowboy wants an eye candy alley oop. We can do that. We can do that for sure. Okay, where is that comment? Wow, we have a lot today. We filled it up. All right, we'll give MJ a dunk as pertaining to Cowboy. Let me see. Where's Fiercey? Let me see. All right, I'm gonna 230 her. She's at 230 now for dunks. All right, let's keep going. Cowboys saying, just wait till Jacoby comes back. Spray paint. All right. All right. I like that. Shaq Lindsay saying, I don't think Bruno is getting it. You know, I thought that too, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to give it to him. Seriously. Because in some ways, think about it. We lose Jakob this year again. It's really big trouble. We're in big bad shape. He may be the most important Raptor, like not even Scott. I'm telling you, in some ways, Pirtle may be the most important Raptor, and we may just need the insurance of a capable big man, even though he's not the best. And in some ways, he is getting outplayed in certain ways that's ugly. But I don't know. In some ways, I get it, Shaq. It may be battle. We'll have to see. We're gonna find out this weekend. We'll find out either today or tomorrow. We could find out while we're doing the stream right now who's getting cut, because there's no more preseason and they got to have it all figured out for Monday. So who knows? If y'all are watching Twitter, waiver wire, whatever, what they're saying, if you hear any breaking news while I'm on the stream live today, let me know, and I'll live react to whatever decision our front office made with our roster for this year. Yeah. G saying, I also think Blackhawks' assessment on Bruno is correct. We need the center depth. Although I like Battle, I was happy to see some improvement last night. He needs to work on those butterfingers. Yeah, Fernando is weird because in some ways, look, he's working hard. If there's one thing I noticed in the last two games, he's busting his ass. So he's not playing lazy. And I do really like how he was a good target in making shots. And Jakob comes out, well, he was still another guy who could be dumped off to, and he was making very close baskets near the basket. And in some ways, look, there's not a lot of really good quality big men in this league. And in some ways, Fernando has some experience. He has some time. He may not be perfect, but he may be exactly what we need right now. And it's interesting. A lot of us are kind of realizing this at this point. It's nothing against Battle. Battle's been fantastic, but it really just occurred to me. It's like, we don't need to lose either one of them. If we keep Fernando, Battle stays in our system and he's still on the 905. And in some ways, he's not totally ready for the NBA either. If you really think about his body and his defensive ability, he's not maybe ready for full NBA, and he probably does need to go and be on the G League for a little while. That's what I would say right there. Shaq Lindsay saying Scotty might be the face of the league in a few years. It's scary to think that he's only 23 and looking like the king himself, LeBron James. He looks in some ways, he looks like he's trying harder than LeBron. That's the thing. That's the difference. Imagine LeBron if he tried even harder. That's Scotty Barnes. That's what I'm saying right there. That's what I'm saying. That's right. Cowboys guy, Shamshay is what Fiercey's saying. Shaq's saying Brandon Carlson looks better than Bruno. No, don't get crazy. No, that's not true. In some ways, don't take away the physicality that Bruno Fernando's taking out there. He's getting licked. He's fighting inside. He may be getting defeated at times and may look bad at times, but Carlson's such a pushover. He's so wispy and no muscle that he can't do anything down low. In some ways, he's like a taller Chris Boucher right now. And you know that Chris can't play any low post defense. And so why would Brandon Carlson be able to? That's my biggest concern with Carlson, is that he's so wispy that he can't hold any position of power with his lower body. He gets pushed around like Wemby did last year. So that's the thing with Carlson. Carlson makes his threes, he's worthwhile. But if he's not making his threes, he's a waste. And in some ways, he needs to be on the 905 just as much as Battle and those other young guys do. And the thing I would recommend to Brendan Carlson is get that weight room up quick. You're on that Chet Holmgren problem right now, and you need to beef up so that you have more weight to push around down underneath. Because in some ways, yeah, it's scary to me. In some ways, I can see where Carlson's going to be a problem, and he's never, ever going to be a good NBA player because of his weight right now. Seriously. Wayne's saying, yes, our wish is to have a competent backup for Jakob. So if he plays well and his attitude is correct, we are for him on his team, on our team. There's no downside for us with a solid Bruno and Battle developing. Yeah. I think that it's just that, like, in some ways, I was worried about Fernando, like, trying hard enough, because in the beginning, he looked kind of half-assing, like in the beginning of preseason. But by the end of the preseason, I could see him working his ass off. You saw how much he was sweating last night. You saw how much he was out there battling and fighting and things. So I got one over on it. Even though he didn't have a perfect game last night, he looked bad at times. I was like, you know what, though? We do really need more bigs on this team. In some ways, we're going to go up against some teams that just look really, really big. And it may really be helpful to have Fernando in our back pocket for this season. Because if we don't make the decision to keep Fernando, he's gone. And there's no going back. Now, if we don't keep Battle, he goes to 905. We don't lose him. So in some ways, that's the biggest thing that made me realize, you know what? We should keep Bruno, because we're not going to lose Battle if we don't pick him. That's what I'm saying right now. Cowboys saying, I agree that Prince Shamshay needs 905 minutes, lots of them, and let's grow. Yeah, y'all, it's going to be so fun to watch the 905 games this year. Jack Armstrong is right when he was saying during the broadcast that the 905 have an extremely good talent right now. And they're talking about Courtney Charles and that level down there. It's going to be so entertaining. In fact, I expect y'all to win the G League championship. Seriously, Jamal Shed, you are a proven winner and leader from Houston. And you could lead this team to a G League championship just like Fred VanVleet did. Well, that's what I'm saying. Walk in the steps of your predecessors. You want to be Shed VanVleet? Well, go be Fred VanVleet and win a G League championship. That's what I'm saying right there. Those guys are good enough to do it, and they've got enough good different players in different positions to field a very good team. In some ways, the other thing that's going to be an advantage for the Raptors 905 is they're all for one and one for all. And a lot of G League teams are just cesspools of competition, hungry guys that hate each other because they're just trying to get the same steak. And there's only one for each dog. There's only one for one dog and not enough for everybody. But our team, in some ways, because they're coming in together like they are, and the building of the community and the unity between the team is different. Some of the guys that may be on G League that are the most important are all feeling safe with their position in the team as rookies. And there won't be as much selfishness like a Javon Freeman Liberty going on last year because of this. And that may be a very big advantage that the Mississauga team has over other G League teams, is that they're all kind of like working for the same goal. And it was the same thing when we did it with the bench mob and Fred and them, that they kind of were all united in a league where many teams are not united. Trust me, that could be a huge advantage for our 905 this year. Very, very huge advantage for sure. Very, very huge. Let's see. Most saying Jamal Shed and Davion Mitchell just match Scotty Barnes' energy and intensity really well. Yeah, they really do. I think Scotty really appreciates having guys on his team that are willing to get after it like he does. In some ways, maybe he's been frustrated in the past with different players just not seeming like they're putting in the same kind of energy and effort as he does. Well, these guys are definitely doing it. And in some ways, they're pushing each other to more levels of energy because they're like this. I mean, I'm seeing Scott do stuff on the court in such an active way right now that is very eye-opening and should be very scary to the rest of the league. That this dude is actively more moving and kinetic every which way all the time. And on either offense or defense, he's doing stuff. And I love it. I love it so much, Mo. It's so cool. Cowboys saying, and quickly, alley-oop to Monique. You want to give me get a Monique alley-oop? I can do that. I'll give Monique an alley-oop real quick. Let's see. Where's Mo on the dunk chart? No. She's at 195. We're going to round that up to 200. You're at the 200 mark now, Monique. 200 dunks from Monique in 2024. There you go. Bryce is saying, what do y'all think of us signing that 7'5" Jamarian Sharp that the Mavs just waived? I went to school with that dude. I believe he can really help us even on the 905. Dude is a blocking machine. I've never heard of him before. I've never seen him either, Bryce. You went to school with him in Kentucky? Okay, so he's not Canadian. I got to remember, Bryce is American. He's down in Kentucky. So this is a kid from the Kentucky area. I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I'm not against getting a 7'5" down there. No, at all. Not at all. I mean, if he shows up on our team, that'd be great. Hey, Raptors front office, if you have not heard, Bryce Lawson, a scout for us in Kentucky, is telling us that there's a guy who's 7'5" from his neighborhood he went to high school with, named Jamarian Sharp. You guys maybe want to look into him. All right, Masai. I'm sure maybe he knows about him already, but if he doesn't, we're telling you right now. Bryce Lawson's letting you know. Mo's saying, I think they were lacking last year on ball pressure. Yeah, I think that's what got me here in the league is that I can pressure the ball really well. That's a quote from Davion Mitchell. Yeah, yeah, that's why he's so loved and like wanted here. And Mitchell's probably finding that really refreshing at this point after kind of languishing in Sacramento as an afterthought. Well, he's a part of something very interesting right now, and he does really feel like he's a part of it. I think it was interesting that he was the first guy off the bench last night. That the sixth man, the first person subbed into the game was Mitchell. And they went with the 2-point guard lineup for a while there with him and Quickly out there at the same time. The thing I really love is how Shed, Quickly, and Mitchell are really divvying up the point guard duties correctly in interesting ways as they come at the court. It's a free for all in some ways because Scotty's involved in that too. And they really do a good job of keeping it organized and like there's no kind of weirdness. I guess there's some sort of hierarchy or some sort of way that Darko has their methodology of decision making so that it makes sense and they're all on the same page. So I really like how they're sharing the point guard duties. And there's different guys jumping in at different places. There's different play sets. There may be at one point something with Grady and Oshai going on, but then all of a sudden it's Davion to Scotty or Scotty to Jakob. You know, there's a lot of really interesting play sets and give and goes and two-man games going off of different people in different parts of the game. And it switches up. It switches up. And I really like the recognition they're finding of good, easy baskets near the basket by dumping it into our big guys, Jakob and Scott. That's been a big, big thing. Like getting those guys down there in a really good position for high percentage shots and just putting the ball in. They're finding them very, very well and with very good passing. Very, very good passing. Cool Cat's here. Good to see the coach, Cool Cat. Good morning, Rapid Free crew. I missed all of last week due to work. I was at live event. Missed the game last night due to WNBA finals. So listening to all the feedback, and I will watch on League Pass later on today. You're going to enjoy the game, Cool Cat. We missed you this week on the stream. I noticed that you weren't around this week, Coach, but I'm glad you're back, and I hope you had a good trip of work at a live event. And great finals for the WNBA. I'm really happy it's going to 5 games. The Lynx showing up and winning game 4 to put it to 5 games. This is fantastic for that league, continuing to get more games and more spotlight on it. It's been an exciting WNBA finals and, well, to the best team win. You know, it could be New York's going to win their first WNBA championship or the Lynx is going to win another one. They've won many before. So, yeah, it could be very interesting to see what happens here. And WNBA is awesome. It's doing so well right now. And you're going to enjoy the game watching the Raptors game later today. A lot of fun, Cool Cat. A lot of eye-opening stuff about Scotty Barnes in that game. Yeah, Kareem saying, not sure if y'all talked about Bruno, but I don't want him on the squad. Yes, he's serviceable, but not to sacrifice battle. Jameson has so much upside. If we let him go, I'll have to spam Masai's inbox. Yeah, we did talk about this, and I have flipped my opinion to keeping Bruno Fernando. But let me tell you why, Kareem. It's because Jameson Battle is a rookie, and he will go to our 905. We won't lose him. So in some ways, we want to keep the bigs because we do need bigs. We really, really do. But we won't lose Battle. That's the thing. Battle will get exhibited to 10, and he will be on the 905 team playing for us. And the ability for Jameson Battle to come back up on the main roster by the end of the year is there. You think about how we called up Mohamedou Gay and JFL and different people from down there and utilized them all season long. Well, that could happen. That could happen for Jameson. So why not lose anything? Keep Bruno because we do need the depth at center. And Jameson Battle just goes like the rest of the rookies down to 905 and develops down there and gets some seasoning in the G League. So, yeah, I flipped my opinion last night, Kareem. I thought more about what Blackhawks said, and I'm like, you know what? Neil's right. We need more depth at center. And Bruno Fernando's not perfect. He is ugly at times, but he is the big guy in the picture that can help us in this department. So that's how I look at it right there. Kareem saying, collectively, Boucher, Kelly, and Carlson will have to back up Yak, and I'm okay with that. See, I don't know if I'm totally okay with that. Because honestly, none of them are actual true bigs in certain ways. Boucher's not a center. Carlson's not a center either. I talked about that just a second ago. The dude's not physically able to guard center. And Kelly is okay, but we saw what Kelly is as the backup center. So in some ways, God forbid, Jakob misses any extended time this year. I don't know if I'm totally happy with those guys being the replacement for Jakob after what we saw at the end of last season. Kelly's awesome. Kelly's a great backup center. He's a great mentor. He's a great teacher. But in some ways, he is not a good starting center against big starts. And in some ways, Bruno would be a better option. So I flipped on this. I very much have in just the last 2 days. And it really was the realization that Jamison Battle does not have to be lost if we don't put him on the roster. He will go to 905, guys, and he will be in our system still. And it has a very much a high potential to be called up to our team. God forbid Grady gets hurt this year. And all of a sudden, well, maybe we do a 10-day contract on Jamison Battle to bring him up to replace Grady. That may make more sense than cutting Bruno Fernando down now and losing his ability to be a big man for us all year. Because we cut Bruno now, he's gone. He's gone for good. And Jamison, it can be on this team even with him getting cut. That's the difference, I'm going to say right there. That's right. Bryce is saying, agreed at Kareem. Bruno is so much of a bonehead and somewhat slow head out there. I'm not going to say that completely. He makes mistakes. And there have been places where he is screwed up, even last night. But also, he showed a lot of promise in different ways, too, with catching close passes and putting them in, and also being in there, just being physical. You got to understand, the big stuff down low is not always very visible. And there's a lot of physical fighting and pushing around that he's involved in, that Jakob's in, too, that he just absorbs. And we don't really see that hard work. Casuals won't see that. And there's a certain level of soaking up physicality that Bruno Fernando's doing out there that we have to realize. Yeah, Cowboys saying it's great to have this problem. The Raptors are stacked. I'm glad that it's harder for us to decide who to keep than just say, yeah, they all suck. Who do we keep out of all these guys? There's been years where we've had guys trying to make our training camp, and they have all sucked. And I'm like, yeah, well, which one do we pick? I have no idea because they all suck. That kind of thing. So I'm glad that there's a couple of guys that are doing really, really well. Bryce is saying he's not bad to have, but he's really the only one that makes me facepalm. Well, in some ways, it's also and maybe partly he's not totally fitting in with the system correctly at all the way. There may be some issues there. I think that also in some ways he's a little bit slower in certain ways, and that he gets in trouble for that. But once again, Fernando is a physical presence that is probably very valuable to the Raptors. Let's just put it that way. Cowboys saying Masai will make the right decision. Yeah, we rely on Masai. We trust in Masai. He's going to make the decision in the next 2 days, and we'll find out. It could be later on we find out. Wayne saying, Bryce, most NVA players are boneheads. We just don't want the worst ones. He's not my favorite, but the pickings are slim, and he seems to have the right temperament. Yeah, and I think he's fitting in with the team. In some ways, he may be worried, very, very worried about making the team. And he's going to find out very soon. But I think he busted his ass last night. You can see him sweating his ass off and really in there fighting and mixing it up. Now, the Nets didn't have very good big men, but still, he was in there doing stuff. Kareem saying at Cowboy, I'm skeptical. I'm having PTSD with the decision they made with Malachi over Doughton. Basai, he's calling him Basai, Bobby and Masai. Don't overthink this and make the right decision. We goody, bro. Okay. Yeah, I would say this. I think that we just overthought it, and I came to this decision that you can keep Bruno and you don't lose Jamison. Seriously. Jamias and Jared are gone. I'm not worried about them. We don't need either one of them. Jamias Ramsey is a talented guy, and in some ways, I don't know if he's able to exhibit 10 and be on the Raptors 905. If he's able to do that, that's fantastic. Let's do it. But he may not be necessary. We could just let Roden and Ramsey just walk, but put that exhibit 10 on Jamison Battle for sure if we are going to be picking Bruno Fernando for the last roster spot. That's what I say right there. Trevor's saying Cleveland has not won a preseason game. They broadcast crew said better bring the energy to Toronto because they're going to get smoked. I love this. This is Kenny Atkinson's new team. Brand new coach for Cleveland. It's a new regime. In some ways, there's no guarantees with them. In some ways, they may find out that they were better off with their guy from last year. Is it Bickerstaff? JB Bickerstaff was their coach last year, who I didn't think they should have fired. He's done a very good job in Cleveland the last couple of years. But yeah, they have a new coach, and it could very well be that his new system and the way that they're doing things in Cleveland isn't exactly right. The prognosticators want to put the Cavs near the top of the Eastern Conference. Whoa, don't get ahead of yourself. In some ways, we got to see how this new coach regime does. In some ways, Kenny Atkinson hasn't had any real success for the most part, other than a little bit in Brooklyn as a head coach. So, yeah, I'm very curious about this. And in some ways, this is very bodes well for us that they have not won any preseason. We're going to play them in our opening game. And we know the Raptors love to start the season with a win at the very beginning of the season. So I'm going to expect us to beat the Cavs on Wednesday in our opening game of the season. Yeah, I'm expecting it. And I don't care. They're going to show up. They're going to get smoked. That's what I'm hoping, Trevor. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying, I know you don't like talking trades, but there's a rumor about Cameron Johnson going to Toronto for Brown and maybe a 2026 pick. I don't know if Cam Johnson's necessary. In some ways, Cam Johnson's high volume, but in some ways, once again, he's one of these high volume players that plays on a shitty team and can get 30 like that. Look, I think he's a talented guy. He's a talented scorer. He has a certain attitude out there. I could see it last night. But in some ways, he's a very good player on a bad team. And in some ways, sometimes these guys get big heads and they're not good for teams. In some ways, he may be selfish. He may be a guy who demands the ball way too much because it seems like in the last couple of years in the Nets, he could get whatever he wants because there's nobody else there to take the shots. So where is the problem? The trading to get him on our team when we got RJ and Scotty and Emmanuel already, and these guys are the guys who should be taking our shots. So I don't see him as being necessary. In some ways, if we want to trade Bruce, I'd much rather get maybe a big center that helps us with our issue that we're talking about right now with Bruno Fernando and shores up things with Yaka. I'd also rather just trade Bruce Brown for picks, honestly, for the future, for things that are happening. We get a serviceable player for him right now. That's fine. But it has to be the right puzzle piece that fits with the puzzle we're already building here. And I don't think Johnson fits that puzzle. I don't mind you bringing this up because we just played them last night. And I did hear a little bit about this rumor also. But I don't like it. I don't like it. He's not a player that I value coming to the Raptors because I understand he's a high volume guy on a shitty team that looks real good because of that. And honestly, he comes here, he's going to be selfish and try and take all the shots with Scotty Barnes around. Fuck that guy. I'd rather Scott take all the shots than Cameron Johnson is what I'd say about that. Yeah. Bryce is saying, well, Wayne, the pickings are thin. The pickings are right now are between him, Battle, and Ramsey. Battle wins, in my opinion. After seeing the Mavs wave Jamarian Sharp, I'd rather have him than Bruno. But you're right. Bruno is at the top of the boneheads. Listen, I know I've downed Bruno over preseason. I have said critical things about him and been negative about him at times, but I'm changing my opinion. I feel like that this guy is a good company guy with the team. He went to Basketball Without Borders with Emmanuel and Darko and Masai. And, you know, and in some ways, he's a good fit for our team. He really, really is. He's fitting in very nice with the vibes. And in some ways, he's already been along for the ride in the middle of the good vibes. You know, we take guys out and we put new guys in. That's a new element to the stew, and it tastes a little different. And as much as your friend from Kentucky may be very good and you want this for your wish list, it may not be good for chemistry because Bruno was already there and he's already been in the vibes and he's already a known quantity for what he adds to the team feel around the traveling of the team. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. In some ways, listen, like I said, we don't lose Battle if we don't pick him, guys. He can go to the 905 and be that way. So that's what I'm saying. Shaq Lindsay saying Cameron would look nice on our team coming off the bench. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. In some ways, he may be a black hole and sucks up all the shots from our young players like Jacoby Walter and different people who we may want them to be taking more shots. Because in some ways, Cameron Johnson's been around for a while. He's not really on the same schedule as us as far as our rebuild. And also, I would say he's a black hole on the offense. He's somebody who obviously demands the ball and takes a lot of shots. And if he gets the ball, he's just going to shoot it. That's no good for Darko's passing schemes and FIBA style play. We don't need a guy that every time he touches the ball, he's going to shoot it. We lost that guy last year, and his name's Gary Trent Jr. So in some ways, that style of player that is a black hole who's going to take the shot if they touch the ball, we don't want that guy on our team, is what I'd say, Shaq Lindsay. That's what I would say. Smooth saying Scotty Barnes has the tools. Man, I hope he puts it all together. If he does, this team is going to be better than I think. RJ and IQ already have the want to do big things. Yeah, these guys are all on the same mission, and it really is a well-crafted team. As much as the Ringer and Bill Simmons think that this is a bad team, that doesn't make any sense. They're dead wrong. Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, and Scotty Barnes fit really, really well together. And Grady Dick, too. And Jakob is a fantastic center. Our starting five is nasty. And when we see them all together and they're playing together, the league's going to realize. And it may be too late for them. It may be too late for the league at that point. I'm telling you. And Smith, I love what you're saying. Scotty is putting it together. He's going to be a top 10 player in this league very soon. We're seeing it right now. We're seeing it. Shaq's saying, let's keep that open roster spot open and sign someone in the open market. That's another option that we haven't even thought about. A fantastic idea, Shaq Lindsay. Maybe. I mean, once again, I will say this. There's time invested with Bruno Fernando. And it's not just in training camp. Bruno's been around our team working with them for most of the summer. And in some ways, there's a lot of value to that. And in some ways, the chemistry and synergy between the team is ideal right now. And in some ways, we don't want to shake it up too much. In some ways, you get rid of a guy like Bruno, he may be partly popular behind the scenes. And guys are like, I really like Bruno. We don't want to make them sad and say, oh, Bruno's gone now, guys. And it's like, and then the reality of the NBA sinks in for some of those young players too early in their career. They're like, damn, it's cold business. Bruno's just out like that. I don't know. In some ways, they got to think about all these kind of aspects. It's not a bad option, what you're saying, because who knows? It may be true. There may be somebody that opens up and that open roster spot can be filled with somebody. But I think it's the rules of the NBA that they have to have their full roster decided by Monday. And they can't have just an open roster spot coming in. I think that they have to have a full roster decided. And that's the rules of the NBA. So I don't know if we can do that exactly. I'm not totally sure, though. Don't quote me on that. Kareem saying at Shaq, sorry that's such a stupid move. And whoever you heard that from, tell them to kick rocks. I'm not trading Yak and Brown for a person who is 28 and 6'7" and is literally a rookie and is 6'7". I don't think he was saying that they trade Yak. I think they were saying he would trade like Bruce Brown to get Cameron Johnson. Yeah, it's all good. Let's not be combative, Kareem. Shaq Lindsay has some good ideas here. They're interesting, and I'm not going to poo-poo them. I won't totally go with them, but I think that they're valid suggestions. That's what I would say right there. But I don't think he said anything about trading Yak. No, I don't think he did. Wayne's saying, agree, Bryce. I dig Ramsey, but I would pick Battle. I'm willing to consider Lex's pitch for Fernando, and it's a good decision to have Fernando and have Battle in 905. My boy Ramsey is the loss here. I don't know if Ramsey's available to be in G League again. Like if we can exhibit 10 him and he can be on the G League also, but that may be too much. We may not need him down there. Because if you start thinking about it, we got Shed, we got Carton. Those are our two main point guards for being on the G League this year. Maybe Jamias could be there too. Who knows? Maybe they like how Jamias Ramsey has worked with DJ Carton this preseason. And maybe it's like, yeah, Ramsey, do you want a two-way with us? Or not a two-way. Do you want an Exhibit 10 and play on the G League with us? And Ramsey may be like, no, I don't want to be on the Raptors 905. I either want to be on the Raptors, I'm going to walk, and I'm going to test around everywhere else. And maybe he ends up on another G League team, honestly. So who knows? Who knows what could happen with Ramsey? In some ways, I'm not scared of losing Ramsey or going somewhere else. In some ways, I'm not worried about that. I'm really not. Yeah. Shaq saying, who said Yak? I only said Brown. See, that's what I'm saying. He didn't say anything about trading Jakob. He didn't. Paul B's here. Good to see Paul B holding it down in Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin for us. Great Paul B, Raptor Freak. What a fun game. I love this team. I'm with you, man. It's going to be exciting and fun. We may not win every game. We may not be competing in some games. We may get blown out in ugly ways sometimes when we're not totally right. But there may be nights where there's some really interesting chemistry and magic out on the court. And boom, we beat some teams we had no business beating. Teams that are top level NBA teams. And we just shake them because of our energy and how we come at them. I'm totally with it. Yeah. Kareem saying, my bad, Shaq. You're forgiven. He's being very protective of Jakob Poeltl. And I appreciate that. I do. I'm going to give both y'all dunks for that interaction. Kareem for being very like, yeah, don't talk about Jakob like that. Which I appreciate. 365 for Kareem. You got the numbers of the days of the year. And we're going to give Shaq Lindsay a big 5-pointer for having some interesting ideas. Shaq, you're at 11 dunks now for the year. That very nice. Very, very nice. Let's see. Mo's saying Ron Harper Jr. waived by the Celtics. But you know what? I didn't like him in the green anyway. Yeah, we knew that was probably going to happen. He didn't look good in the 2 games we saw him against the Raptors with the Celtics. He didn't hardly do anything. I don't think he made any shots. In some ways, he's in a group trying to make the Celtics that are bombing and making a lot of shots. You think Ron Harper Jr. is going to make the Celtics over Lonnie Walker the fourth? No. Lonnie Walker the fourth was in their camp battle, and he's probably the one that did get that spot. So there was no way Ron Harper was going to beat Lonnie Walker to make the Celtics. No way at all. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying, once again, people ready to run down my throat or block me for something I didn't say. It's all good, Shaq, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. In some ways, I'm the one that matters. But yeah, I don't want anybody throwing wrenches at you for no reason. You're fine. In some ways, all he suggested was trading Bruce Brown. He did not say Pirtle. He did not say Pirtle. So he's saying, I've accepted that Bruce Brown is likely to be a Raptor this year, man. His value on the deadline is going to be lower than it is now. I don't know. We'll have to see. In some ways, we've heard some rumors that there already been trade offers for Bruce Brown, and the Raptors have rejected them, and they haven't liked them. Maybe a low undercutting kind of offers. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. In some ways, whatever happens to Bruce Brown, we may be very surprised. Remember, we got to see what they did. We saw what they did with Jalen McDaniels. Don't think they won't get it right with Bruce Brown, too. But if he's on our team this year, that's great. In some ways, it will be. You think his value will be lower at the trade deadline, but maybe not. What if Bruce comes back from his injury? He plays at a very high level, and he's very attractive to contending playoff teams. That could happen too, Smooth. We got to remember, he could increase his value if he comes back and plays at a crazy high level. In some ways, I could see Winders that Bruce Brown Jr. may very much fit into our new look Raptors, the way we're crazy and scurrying all over the place, because he's that kind of player in some ways. Think about that too. So he could actually be very beneficial on the team still. We'll have to see. Cream saying, Shed reminds me of Norman Powell. Everyone was calling him a rookie vet. I get the same from Jamal. They said that about Fred too. They did. That they're just kind of got a maturity to them when they first showed up right away. And I agree with this. I agree with this for sure. Cool Cat saying, it seems that Masai likes Cameroon players. He has consistently kept those type of African players on the Raptors. Siakam, Koloko, Shamshe. Scary that Koloko's still not cleared by the NBA. He may never be, and the Lakers just did this, and it's a waste. It could very well be that. I think the Lakers are wasting their time this year, whether it's the Bron and Bronny show, whether it's JJ Redick, whether it's waiting around for the NBA play to panel fitness to clear Koloko. Yeah, obviously, Masai likes African players. I think that Cameroon's just a hot spot. In some ways, Cameroon has, with Embiid and Siakam, has really shown that it's a hot spot for players. But, it doesn't necessarily mean that he values Cameroonians over Nigerians or Angolans or anything like that necessarily. I think he's looking all over the whole continent. It just so happens that some of the very best players coming out have been from Cameroon. And yeah, I'm all excited about Shamshe. Shamshe is going to be awesome. Criscom's here. Good to see you. Great Criscom. What up, Lex? I'm hyped for the season. First prediction, easy one. 10 more wins minimum than last year. So you're saying 35 wins at least. I predict more, but I'm just not sure about possibly tanking for one of the best rookie classes. Well, once again, the Raptors never, ever are considering tanking. In some ways, I really think that that's really bad that the fans want to continue to think of that's a viable strategy. It just isn't. Because once again, I've said this for a couple of years now. The Raptors can draft anywhere in the first round. They're going to find gems. Whether it's Grady Dick at 13, whether it's Jacoby Walter at 19, whether it's Siakam when he got drafted, when Anunoby got drafted by the Raptors. It wasn't a top lottery pick. And Masai and Bobby are just that good. They're going to make the best of whatever pick they get. So I never, ever, ever want to hear Raptors fans say, we need to lose on purpose so that we have a higher pick. That doesn't make any sense. We need to try and win as much as possible, and we will get what we get. And in some ways, Masai has already got the high draft pick that's the leader of our team that's obviously going to be the badass, and that is Scotty Barnes. In some ways, you could get a bunch of top-level picks, and it's muddled, and then all of a sudden there's confusion, and then the puzzle doesn't fit exactly right when you put it on the table because you have too many top-level players. You can be like Detroit. You can be like Washington. You can be like these teams that get really high-level draft picks all the time, but some of them may not be panning out, and some of them may not be enough room on a team for all of them to be around. In some ways, we don't want people to come on this team and rival Scott. So if we come and we get a very high-level draft pick, and all of a sudden it's kind of like, whoa, this guy could be the franchise face. That could be more issues than good, is what I'm saying. So I want them to play to their highest level of winning this entire season and let the ping pong balls or the order of the draft fall where it may, because we rely on Masai. We trust in them that they're going to get the best value pick no matter where they draft in the first round. So I say that, yes, let's get 10 more wins, Crisco, and let's go get 10 more after that and get to 45. How about that? Yeah. And it may be one of the best rookie classes. Well, that means it's probably deep, and we'll be able to get something good mid first round or maybe even late first round. But if it's early first round, well, that's just how the season went, and we ended up in the top 10 in the lottery. So either way, I don't care. I don't want to manipulate things by losing to try and get a player that may not be worth jack shit. And you see teams tank and do all this stuff, and all of a sudden the Atlanta Hawks got the first pick in the draft. And that's just how it is. Carlos saying, morning, Lex and fellow freaks. Usually they announce who they waive after the last preseason game. Now we still don't have an announcement. Bobby's probably sweating bullets right now. We need to keep Bruno. We're going to be so thin after Yak. So another voice for Fernando right here. This is true. They almost always did this the night after the game, like immediately. I mean, maybe they wanted to fly them all back in, and maybe they could be announcing it right now, guys. Seriously, y'all pay attention to this and give me breaking news if you do hear something about the decisions that our front office has made. Smooth saying Raptors already said no to Dallas and New York for trades for Bruce. Yeah. And G saying, Shaq, you're good. That's right. Shaq Lindsay. Listen, Shaq Lindsay was banned from this channel for a brief period of time, but I didn't think it was right. And in some ways, I unbanned him. So I'm glad Shaq Lindsay is back and cohabitating once again with us in the Raptor Freak channel. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Shaq saying, if all Shed needs to improve is his shooting, then he is already ahead of the curve. Yeah. Yep. And it looks like he does have a pretty good shot. That shot in transition on three with the confidence really spoke a lot to me last night. And it kind of put away some of the fears I had about how clanky he was in the preseason with some of his shots. And also his ability to finish near the basket's interesting. You know, Emmanuel Quickley's better at finishing around the basket. Did you see that drive on transition where he had Dennis and another net on him and he finished with both of them around him? There's a lot of really cool things happening with our point guards and how they finish near the basket. Davion Mitchell has a couple of tricks up his trade too. And DJ Cart can elevate and he can finish with people around him in contact too. So I really like our guards and how they finish near the basket right now. They're very, very good at finishing in traffic. And that's very, very good. Shed has some interesting little hook moves that he does. He likes to hook shot over big centers in certain ways. Let's see. Bryce is saying, I went back to the last Locked On Raptors video. Him and I were arguing about Oshai in the comments. He was disrespectful, and I went back to say he owes Oshai a public apology. Boom goes the dynamite. There you go. Sean Woodley. Come on now. You're Locked On Raptors, so let's be nice to Raptors. Because remember, your target audience is Raptors fans. And Raptors freaks like Bryce Lawson will call you out, and rightfully so, if you are dumping on our players just for no good reason, just out of the blue. Listen, if I dump on somebody, I'm trying to give them some good criticism to try and help them to get better. I dumped on Scott on Monday, and then Scott came out on Tuesday and showed he was the big boy in the league and beating the champion Celtics and being the best player on the court among Tatum and Brown. That's right. So in some ways, look, shoot your shot in the right way and be nice and have constructive criticism in a positive way so that our Raptors can get better. Sean Woodley, stay locked on the Raptors, but don't freak out every day like we do here. Let's go. Let's see. Shaq's saying some of these rookie point guards don't know nothing but to shoot. Some of the ones in other teams. But that's why I love the stereotypical rookie, stereotypical point guards that we've got. In some ways, these guys like Mitchell didn't score hardly at all last night. He got 1 point, but he had like 4 assists, and he was really helping our offense by looking for people. In some ways, I love the old idea of the shortest guy shouldn't be taking all these shots. This league got so crazy after Allen Iverson with him taking so many shots because he's so good offensively. Everybody want to be Allen Iverson and Steph Marbury and Steph Curry since. And I'm like, yo, let's get back to John Stockton and Steve Nash type of point guards. Guys that look to pass first, then shoot their own shot. And in some ways, we've got a couple of those guys, Shed and Mitchell in particular. Now, Quickley can be that guy. Last night, in some ways, Quickley getting only 9 points, but getting 10 assists was a pass first, shoot second kind of point guard. And in some ways, I'm old school. I love to see John Stockton set up Karl Malone in the pick and roll and get a ton of assists. And in some ways, we've got point guards that are actually looking like this. And, you know, the criticisms of Kyle and Fred from before and Malachi, as far as them being shoot first point guards, well, we don't have that right now. In some ways, Jamal Shed would much rather pass it to somebody than shoot it himself. I can tell. And Davion Mitchell, definitely. We saw that last night. Definitely that last night. Yeah. Most saying, I'm going to miss being in the Facebook chat most nights when the season starts, but I appreciate you all. Go Raptors. Yeah, you're going to be at the games, rightfully so, Mo, holding down the vibes and bringing the good energy. We know that that's an essential and integral part of what you do to help the team. And you know what? We'll see in the chat in different places either way. Yeah, you're not going to be there for the away games. So we'll be in the Facebook chat with you then. And also, 905 games are going to be fun this year. I hope you will watch more 905 this year, Monique. I'm sure you will. And of course, we'll be in the YouTube chat for 905 games. The Raptor Freaks will take it over in 905. And we'll be having a blast in there with Fiercey, Cool Cat, and Kareem and Isaac and everybody making jokes in there. That'll be fun. I'm all about the 905 watching on YouTube with you guys and being in there like you guys are in my chat right now. Well, I'll be in the chat with you guys and we'll be all talking in there. And maybe we'll talk trash to the G League team, the other team we're playing, when their fans come in. That'll be fun. Yeah, Bryce is saying the last video I watched, which was 3 months ago. It's all good. It's all good. Carlos saying, yeah, I don't like that Locked On Raptors guy. That guy was so down on RJ's defensive potential. Yeah, why the unnecessary need to be negative, Sean Woodley? You know, Sean Woodley to me sounds like Seth MacFarlane. Like he does. He really sounds like he's the voice of Family Guy. Have you ever heard his voice? You'd be like, he sounds like Brian from the dog from Family Guy. If you listen the way he talks. I don't know. I get the vibes that he's very much got that voice like Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, Lex, your background is different. Are you traveling this weekend? Yes, I am not at my house right now. I am not at my house. Very astute eye. That is true. Bryce is saying, I quickly unsubscribed from that dude. What a loser, Locked On Raptors. In some ways, I would say we need that moniker for this channel because nobody's more locked on the Raptors than we are. Seriously. And it's people like Monique, Trevor, Isaac, myself, and all you guys that are catching everything. We catch so much everything Raptors on this channel that we are the most locked on Raptors channel in the whole entire thing. I mean, shit, I called it yesterday. Emmanuel Quickley's going to play. They're telling you he's not going to play, but that's bullshit. Just trust Lex. Emmanuel's going to show up, and boom goes the dynamite. I staked my reputation that Emmanuel Quickley would play in the game last night before anybody announced it. And he did come in there. So that's what I'm saying. There must be some astute, locked on stuff going on right here if we're able to see this. And I would never diss RJ over his defensive abilities because that's just some tired old New York trope that the media and the toxic fans of the Knicks put on RJ all this time. You think RJ's lazy? You think RJ cares about defense? Yes, he does. And he shows it. It's just that in some ways, he's such a great offensive player. His build is so good on offense. And in some ways, maybe the Knicks were asking him to do more offensive stuff than be defensive. Sure, maybe he blew assignments. Maybe sometimes he looked bad. But that doesn't mean a young player his age can't get better and better as he gets older and he learns and gets more savvier. So in some ways, look, RJ's an offensive end kind of player, but don't get it twisted. He has the room to improve on the defensive end. And haters like Sean Woodley will find out down the road exactly what I'm talking about right here. I did a stream last year about Rowan Barrett Sr.'s coming to his son, and he's challenging him. I want you to be a better defender. I want you to be more of a two-way player. And RJ is up for the challenge. In fact, we saw signs of this at the Olympics in Paris when RJ was playing this summer for Canada, that he was playing more on the defensive end of the ball in very, very good ways for Jordy Fernandez and his team there. So I don't get this. Why are you telling RJ he can't do something like that, Sean Woodley? His defense is going to get better. He's a young player, and he really wants to get better. Trust me. And that's all he needs is that he wants to do it. He will. Trust me. I would never go against our guy from Mississauga, number 9, RJ Barrett. That's right. I would never, ever go against him and not think that. That's right. That's right. Carlos saying we have to credit Darko and Chris. Usually when a player falls out of the rotation, they don't get back in. I mean, honestly, Darko is just the best coach. Seriously, I'm finding out about him. He may not have the accolades, the win percentage, the kind of things yet, but he's going to get them because he does everything the right way. The fact that he reached out to Chris this summer at the end of the year, he said, Chris, this is what I need you to do if you really want to play for the Raptors in the future. And Chris listened to him. Chris is a professional. Chris is like, you know what? I really value straight shooters who are going to tell it to me the honest way. And coach came to me and he said, this is what we need you to do. And if you do it, I will reward you. You'll get more. And that's what he's listening to him and he's seeing the results. And in some ways, like Chris doing the things that Darko wants him to do and improving in certain ways, he's getting more leash. He's getting more playtime. He's getting back in the rotation. And that's all he needed. That's all Chris wanted was his coach to shoot him straight and tell him what he needed to do. And Darko gave him an opportunity. And now he's showing it and he's coming back. So, yeah, I agree with this. I think that this is important. Darko doesn't want to have any dead spots on the roster where it's just like, this is a guy who's just in the doghouse. He's never going to play again. No, he wants to tell each and every person on the roster, this is how you get better. Well, you're going to get more time with me. And that's how he puts that carrot in front of them to achieve and get better is to say, look, be straight shooting with them and to communicate. And if they'll respect that, like Chris says. And that's what's happening right there. That's the awesome thing right there. MK's here. Good to see our WNBA two-time champion, undefeated this season, Meredith, holding it down in the Ottawa region, holding it down. You can be here for tomorrow's draft, MK. You better be here. It's like he's saying, I used to love the amoeba-like defense Nurse used to run. Now we have an amoeba-like offense. Darko is really like the Mario to Nick's Wario. Very excited for what we can do this season. I love this comment. Like, Meredith, you coming in talking about Mario and Wario and Nick Nurse and Darko, this is perfect. And I think you're exactly right. The fact that Nick played such an isolation offense and really was like catering to Fred and Pascal with individual isolation stuff was so boring at times. And it was just kind of maddening. Well, the way we're cultivating such beautiful, bellissimo basketball with the passing, the cutting, and the movement is such a breath of fresh air. And we felt it last year when we were watching the first year of Darko. But this year, it's even more to another level because of what I was talking about earlier, that the players off ball are all moving with very, very defined intention, that this is what Darko wants me to do off ball. And boom, they get to the right spots, they move the right way, and all kinds of golden opportunities arise for great passers on our team to hit people for very easy shots. And it's very appealing and fun to watch. And MK, you're getting a big dunk right here for that comment because I agree. They very much were opposites on their offensive philosophies, Nick Nurse and Darko. And Darko's assists this last year and the assists he's going to get this year are proof of it because we didn't get hardly any assists when Nick was our coach. They really weren't sharing the ball with each other. He really, really didn't trust the players to pass the ball around without it getting stolen. And now it's wide open and all over the place. MK, you're getting the dunk. Let's see. Where is it? MK, man, you don't have any dunks. You're going to get 10 right now. So you're at 11. You're at 11. You got 11. You got the Bruce Brown, my guy. There you go. Carlos saying, Darko is a real fine coach. So much development we see here. Good point, MK. Amoeba-like offense. Yeah, it's different. In some ways, the defense is very different too, but it isn't. Because Nick liked to have that chicken run around without its head kind of defense, just running at guys, run. And well, in some ways we're doing something like that, but it's really well guided. In some ways there's safeguards for transition defense with guys crashing offensive boards this year. There's all kinds of different stuff that's absolutely cool. And I like the aggressiveness on both sides of the ball that we saw last night. In some ways, once again, we've done this 2 games in a row. We did it against the champion Celtics on Tuesday, and we did it to the Nets last night, where we're relentless and we're pushing the other team in the back of their heels, and we are the aggressor. You see it with Scott and the way he's coming downhill with force. You see it with Jakob, the way he's very much trying to dominate down low in certain ways. And you even see it with Grady going at the basket and being aggressive to look for a shot. There's an aggressiveness to our team this year that's another level. And don't get it twisted. When RJ shows back up, that aggressiveness will be with him too. Because we've seen how RJ gets aggressive in the Olympics and the way he just goes and gets his scoring. So it's going to be exciting. I'm really, really into both sides of the ball right now. And I think that one of the cool things is there's balance with this Raptors team. That in some ways, Knicks teams in the past would be like very, very defensive oriented and very, very much not as good on offense. Well, I think that there's balance on our team this year. It's not that we're a bad defensive team. No, we're not. And we're a very good offensive team, too. So I'm excited about that. That's right. Bryce is saying, go Darko. I freaking love that dude. You can see the respect our players have towards him, the way they listen when he speaks. Yeah, there was one moment where he took Scotty and he was speaking to him directly in his eyes, and Scotty was just soaking it up. You could tell that he was just taking everything that Darko was telling him with a lot of respect and attention. And that is a good sign that your franchise player, the top dog, is very much keyed in and just waiting for the next morsel of coaching and advice and leadership from their coach. And in some ways, look, man, Darko has got their trust. In some ways, it's the little things he teaches them, and they see those little successes that they're like, yeah, Darko knows what he's talking about. And I'm really excited to continue to learn under him. He's so good. And when you're watching him during the game, he's so in the zone and he's catching on everything. And in some ways, look, the man talked the other day because, all right, there was that pass that Davion Mitchell threw in transition to Grady against the Celtics. And Samson Falk in the practice interview called him out and said, you stole that from Dan Hurley of UConn. He's like, yes, I did. Yes, I did, Samson. And then Samson said, do you have any other plays like that you are going to unleash on us that we don't know about? And this is what Darko said. He said, I have so many plays, Samson. I have so many plays that you don't even understand. And we have to give them little by little and learn little. I can't dump all so much on them all at once. And it's a time over time thing. Darko's a real coach. He has a phone book full of plays that he understands how to call. And don't get it twisted. When they do their little coach get together with Jama and Pat Delaney and Coco, and they're standing there, they're brain trust. And they're all kind of reading the feel of the game at that moment. And Darko's talking to them. And Jama may be like, well, listen, Darko, it really does seem like they're doing this really well on defense on this. But if we go to the other side and we get this for Scotty in this way, I bet you we could bust this open. There's a committee of coach in there. And Darko's really good at sourcing from his assistant coaches ideas in the moment. And that's really good. Because if you have more eyes looking at everything and they have a voice that can actually be heard and implemented to that moment in the game, top notch. But Darko's so locked in. He's so in the zone and he's on top of things. He's on top of things with the refs. He's on top of things with the players and instruction in the middle of the game. And I love it too. Seeing that one point where he was talking to Scott and Scott was just taking everything coming from exact attention to him. That says a lot. That Scott respects him and is very much believing in his direction. And that's very, very important. Very, very, very important. Shaq saying Robert Dillingham is a streaky shooter at best, but what happens when your shot is not falling? He becomes a liability. I'd rather have a player like Shed. That's a great point by Shaq Lindsay. I'm going to give him another dunk for this one because I think that's true. I think that's very, very true. You need intangibles. You need other things that you do that you can give to your team to make it better. 14 dunks for you, Shaq Lindsay. You're at the Jacoby Walter. That's right. Yeah, I agree with this. In some ways, there's a reason why a Celtics fan that was here earlier this week was saying, can y'all trade us Jamal Shed? Like they want us to give them Jamal Shed already. He's just barely seen him. Celtics fans like, ooh, I like that Shed kid. That's what I'm saying. Amari's here. Good to see Amari Parsons. Real estate. Amari is a realtor. He can help you find a place to live, whether it's somewhere to rent or to buy a property. Get a mortgage. Amari's in the west side of Toronto, around Mississauga, Kitchener, Waterloo, London area. So if you're looking for a housing situation, Omari Parsons, your guy. Y'all look him up. What's up, freaks? Big up, Lex. I'm excited for the fantasy draft tomorrow. That's right, Omari. Duppy Conquerors in the Western Conference of the 100% maple syrup division with Nako the Nacho and Kareem Thomas. Yeah. Let's get it. Let's draft tomorrow, 9:30 a.m., a live Yahoo Fantasy Draft on the Raptor Freak channel. If you love watching drafts and seeing the fun of what we're going to do, well, that's our stream tomorrow, guys. We're going to be drafting live on the air tomorrow. It's going to be fun. Yeah, Monique is saying W Stream, W Vibes. Thank you, Monique, for the cutoff. She's saying Raptor Freak crew strong. Good times are here. That's right. I love it. HC saying DeMar definitely not reading it. but was a brother with a Cali accent. Okay, so it wasn't DeMar. It was just some dude from California that was reading it. Okay, cool. HC, thanks for letting me know about the audio book. And that's a fantastic book. And I know Monique is reading her copy right now, too. Yeah. Carlos saying Ben Simmons is such a waste to be so big and so agile. He can just dunk every possession if he wanted to, but no, all he can do is pass. You know, in some ways, I want to give a lot of credit to Barnes for tying him up. You know, he took that assignment. Ben Simmons could be a problem, sure, but he's lazy. And Scotty shows certain effort of defense of mirroring him and staying with him, dancing with him around the court. Ben Simmons ain't going to do jack shit. And Scotty did take that challenge last night. He was really into guarding Ben Simmons. You could tell. In some ways, they have a lot in common. But once again, I'll say this. There's a difference between Simmons and Barnes, and that is want. And that is want to play and be a good player. I don't think Ben Simmons cares about his NBA career. It's very evident. Scotty does. And Scotty's coming to be a face in this league. And Ben Simmons may have been anointed one early on in his career, but he never deserved that shit. No, he didn't. It was all on prospect and ability and possibility. But he never realized that potential or that possibility. Scotty's going to. So come correct, NBA. You that same kind of way you were treating Ben Simmons in his early years, you should be doing that with Scotty right now. You should. You really should be. That's right. That's right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see. Cool Cat saying Lex with audiobooks. Sometimes it's the author. Other times it's a great artist reading that bring the book to life. Very efficient way of reading Wi-Fi, get stuff done. Yeah, while getting stuff done. Yeah, I mean, I think audiobooks are fantastic, and I have no problem with them. But yeah, that'd be cool. Like you get somebody cool like Morgan Freeman to read your book all of a sudden. That's a big deal. Yeah, I guess tomorrow would be very time consuming for him to read the whole thing and record it. So they could just hire somebody to do it. But I think it's very cool. In some ways, it'd be interesting to hear the real voice of the person because it gives away some of it. It gives more feeling to it if they're actually telling their own story. You know how that is. HC, good to see you today, man. Trevor's saying classic card. Okay, yeah. Thanks for bringing me back to the place that we got to go to, which is the classic card of the day. I'm going to make sure it's classic, and we'll see who we get. The first person to write in the classic card name, full name, will get the trivia points. 11:01 is the time on the thing. All right, here we go. This is a pretty easy one. Let's see if you guys remember this classic card of the day. It's a Phoenix Sun, guys. Let's see who that is. Who's going to get the first and last name of this classic card of the day? He kind of looks like Leo Routens, just a little bit there, doesn't he? A little bit like Leo Routens back in his thing. Let's see who gets it right. Who knows the classic card of the day? First one to write it in will get the points for the Raptor Freak trivia score for today. I want to see who. Nobody knows this one. Somebody should have got this one right away. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's my mom. My mom is here. That's weird. I'm not opening packs. Trevor sent me a bunch of classic cards in the mail. So I have a bunch of them. That's crazy. My mom's in the chat. My mom's never here. This is weird, guys. My mom is here. I better stop cussing. All right. Who is this? Come on. Who knows it? Do you know who this is, Mom? Come on, y'all. Somebody's got to know who this is. This is easy. This is an easy classic card. This is definitely not Bob Thornton from yesterday, guys. This is the opposite of Bob Thornton. Y'all should know this one. Where is my classic card answers, guys? Where is Ahmad Rashad? Where is Isaac Campbell? Where is Kareem Thomas? You know that's very close at the top. This should be very competitive between between Kareem and Smooth. Y'all are like 10 points apart at the very top. So one of y'all should be wanting to get this, seriously, because it's so close at the top of the Raptor Freak thing. Yeah, that is the guy with the crazy dunk, Kareem. You remember it from the video game. This is a guy in one of the early Sega Genesis basketball video games did a crazy dunk from the three-point line in the video game. That is the guy who does that, yes. He had a crazy dunk in real life, too. He was a very good dunker in his career for the Sonics and the Suns. This guy was very well known for playing for Seattle and Phoenix. But yeah, I'm surprised you guys don't know who this is. This is an all-star. This is a very top-level NBA player from this time. And y'all aren't getting it? What's going on here? Come on, you should know who this is. Come on, this is not a hard classic card. Craig Elo. That's an interesting guess, Bryce, but it's not right. Craig Elo was never really an all-star. This guy definitely was. There we go. Kareem got it. Of course, it's Tom Chambers. Tom Chambers was a great scorer in the NBA. And you can look at his stats on the back. Look at that. He was averaging 20 points for many, many years. in the NBA there, but it is Tom Chambers. Yeah, he had a dunk from the 3-point line in the video game, and he'd do like this action like this. He'd be like going through the air like this, and then it was so goofy. It was like NBA Live, or like maybe it was like Celtics versus Lakers or something like that. They had the early Sega Genesis games that were like Bulls versus Lakers, Celtics versus Lakers, Suns versus Bulls, stuff like that. But yeah, you got it. Let's see. I think that was pretty hard. In some ways, I'm going to give you 150 points. So let me see if David is here. David is not here. So we're going to give Tom Chambers, Kareem Thomas, and we'll give you 150 for that. And David will come back and add it to the score and stuff. But yeah, looking at the trivia score is very close, guys. You guys are so close right now. Kareem, after like before today, it's 45-45 to 45-25 between Kareem and Smooth at the top, and y'all are separating from Ahmed right now. Just so you know, you just missed the classic card. It was Tom Chambers, and you are right there with Kareem, but he just took the lead from you. So this is really, really important. Yeah, you just missed it. Oh my gosh, Smooth. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. All right, where are we on the classic card? Was where Trevor said that. MK saying recording an audiobook is hard and time consuming. DeMar went with a professional. It's nice to have the author read their own book, but I get it when they don't. I think it's just a very emotional story that he be upset and sad. Trevor saying Grizzlies wave former Raptor David Johnson. That makes sense. David Johnson getting to play in his home area around Louisville for the Grizzlies. And yeah, I mean, that makes sense. David Johnson is too bad. He's just on the cusp of the NBA for a while when he was a Raptor as a draft pick for us. And it's just at this point. And we got to realize he came in with Scott and he's still around the league. That's actually pretty impressive in some ways. Kareem saying if Battle goes to 905, can another team pick him up? No, that's what I'm saying. We exhibit 10 him, waive him, and boom, all of a sudden he's on 905 with the rest of them. So he does have a direct path to just being kept with us on the 905. So we don't lose Battle, and we keep some center depth with Fernando. That's what I'm saying. Carlos saying, man, NBA is really a tough path. All these nice players about to get waived, but playing overseas is good as well. It's just the way it is. The NBA is changing once again. A lot of it has to do with NIL. Some of the players are staying longer now, so they're coming in a little bit later in the draft at age. And that's good because honestly, they need more time in college. There's been too many players come into the league that aren't ready to play in the league fundamentally. So this is good that they've been doing this. Let's see. Kareem saying it's actually annoying Bruno can't locate the ball for rebounding. I picture him to be Andre Drummond-esque, but he's not even close to that. I feel like down the road, we can sign somebody better through free agency. Well, we'll just have to see. Let's trust in Bobby and Masai, and hopefully they'll make the right decision today or tomorrow for our final roster spot. We'll have to see. And Kareem said, okay, Lex, you and Neil won me over. I just don't want to lose Battle. We won't lose the battle. Okay, G.I. Joe? We won't lose the battle. G.I. Joe. All right, let's see. Kareem said, see you tomorrow at the draft. I'm going to drop my draft board tonight. There you go. I'd like to hear that y'all are preparing for this draft. Y'all utilize the Yahoo mock draft tool. It's very, very good for kind of getting a taste of where people are in the draft and like where the beats are for as far as things. So I highly recommend doing a mock draft if you can today to prepare for tomorrow. That would be very, very good. Carlos saying Cam Johnson is going to be expensive even if we acquire him. Yeah, I'm just not interested. In some ways, I see a guy who scores a lot on a bad team, and it's just not something I'm interested in having. In some ways, he could do that for the Nets, but in some ways, he won't do that for us in our situation because there's more mouths to feed. And in some ways, I don't want him getting in the way of feeding those mouths because he needs to get his. And that's why I don't like it. Okay, so my mom is saying it's actually my niece, Ansley, who's here. Uncle Lex, it's Ansley. Oh, hi, Ansley. I love you, Ansley. I know that you're with Grandpa and Grandma for a couple of days because your folks are on a trip or something. Well, I'm really happy that you get to spend time with Mimi and Papa. And hope that you guys have a lot of fun in Atlanta. And I love you so much, Ansley. You are just one of the most important people to me in my life. And I always miss you. And I look forward to the next time I get to see you guys. I really do. I really, really do. Okay, so it's not my mom. It's actually my niece on my mom's account. Carlos saying, correction, he's on year 2 of a 4-year contract, roughly making 21 million a year, which is reasonable. Talking about Cameron Johnson. Yeah, I say pass. I still say pass. I'm not interested in anybody from the Nets other than Nicholas Claxton. He's the only player on that team that I would want on our team. I'm not interested in any of those other guys. Shaq's saying, why don't we bring back Kem Birch if we kept Bruno? Ooh, I like this. Shaq Lindsay's coming in with some fire. You know, I'm a big fan of Kem Birch, and Kem Birch has revitalized his career. You know what? I'm going to give you another 10, man. You're at 24 now. You just jumped up to the Bruno Fernando number, ironically. You know, Kem Birch does deserve another crack at the NBA. I honestly believe that because he's finally healthy. And we saw the things he did for Canada this summer. And honestly, he's done very well in his European years in the last couple years. But I don't know if he's going to circle back and be around. That would be really cool. I'd love that. In some ways, there's a lot of familiarity with Kem being in a Raptors jersey and being on the team in different ways. I would totally welcome it. Plus, there's the added bonus of he's very close with RJ and Kelly from Team Canada. So there's a lot of connections already there. I think even Kem played with Scotty too during his career. So it's like reacquiring him is like, well, Kem's back. You know, I would be not against this. In fact, I would think that Kem Birch would be an upgrade over Bruno Fernando. Masai, Bobby, call Kem and see what's up. And maybe you can swing this all of a sudden. It's not like he's totally unfamiliar with being a Raptor and what we're doing. You bring him back in, he could fit in real nice. I like this, Shaq Lindsay. I actually really like this idea. Kareem saying, I love Matt and Jack crushing the idea of tanking on the broadcast and explaining how detrimental it can be to a franchise. Also, they express the value of Yak. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like these guys do listen to us and they hear our concerns and they are trying to help and fight the good fight on the broadcast. In some ways, they got to understand this has always been the case for the Raptors broadcasters that they are educating the country of Canada on the sport of basketball in the NBA. And people like Jack Armstrong and Leo Routens and Paul Jones have been absolutely essential to teaching people of Canada the sport. We've gotten to the level where we went from questions about basic basketball rules in the 90s to Samson Falk asking high-level basketball theory questions in the media scrum. That we're at a certain level with as a basketball populace in Canada that we can ask these graduate PhD level kind of questions with Samson Falk, and it's getting like, yeah, the fans actually get this stuff now too. So we've come a long way in our 30 years, Raptors Nation, that we were learning just basic NBA basketball rules, like what is traveling? And now we're getting to the point where we're on high-level play set kind of questions from people like Oren Weisfeld and Samson Falk. I'm very proud of this. And I love that, once again, our broadcasters are part of the education. And, well, part of the education is to educate casuals on their casual takes and their stupid tanking mentalities. So, yeah, they're doing a great job. And I've noticed this in the last year or so, that sometimes some of the issues we bring up on this channel, they're all of a sudden talking about them on the air, on the broadcast. And I listen, you guys don't ever have to acknowledge me. I love you guys. You guys do a great job. And I'm not doing this for notoriety. I'm doing this for information and for the health of Raptors Nation. That's the only reason why I do this channel. In some ways, hey, at some point, because I do this for so long, I get some sort of accolade or some sort of recognition. That's fine. But I'm not doing this for that. I'm doing this purely for education and making sure Raptors Nation can be less toxic and more well-informed. And you guys double down on that on the broadcast, and I appreciate y'all talking the value of Jakob Poeltl, overly talking about it last night. It is very important because there's a lot of fans that are misguided and just do not understand these things. That's right. That's right. It's really, really awesome. Really, really awesome. Michael Anthony is here. This is the basis of Van Halen. I love that band. Running with the Devil. Yeah. Yeah. Michael Anthony. I know you're not really Michael Anthony, but I like to do this sometimes. We had Todd Bridges in here the other day. And yeah, I was like, what you talking about, Willis? But listen, Michael Anthony from the great Van Halen. I love you, man. He's saying Jacoby Walter will be the key we're missing by the end of the year if he can stay healthy. I love that. Yeah. He's an enigma to me. In some ways, he's a big question mark and mystery. But I feel really good about the vibes around him. Like you can tell guys that are just ballers sometimes. They have a certain aura. And there's an aura to Walter that is very intriguing. Now, we haven't seen anything realistically or very much other than Summer League at the end of it. He had a couple of very strong games to close out Summer League, but I'm very excited to see Jacoby get healthy. And I'm also very curious to see how Rajakovic implements him. He's very much said he has a special plan for Jacoby and integrating him into the Raptors plans. So he wants to handle this right. And in some ways, you don't want to screw up a prospect like Jacoby Walter. But I love Michael Anthony coming in here with his first comment and saying that he has a big prediction for Jacoby Walter, that he's going to be a key that we've been missing. And I think he may be right as a very good scorer. You know, what if Jacoby is kind of like Norman Powell reminiscent? Like just a basket and just a diehard guy attacks the rim and throws it down and hits threes. And then also has a very nice wingspan on the outside, like Norman did. And he kind of guards. Like it could very well be that Jacoby Walter is the Norman Powell to Jamal Shedd's Fred VanVleet. Think about that, seriously. Because in some ways, there's a little bit of a player build that's similar between Norman and Jacoby. Yeah. Carlos saying Tankin's going to be so stupid when Atlanta got the first pick. Yeah, what is this even doing? Like the Clippers look like they're going to have a horrible year this year because Kawhi's already hurt, and they're going to give a really high draft pick to the Thunder. That's going to be messed up. That's going to be hilarious when the Clippers have an absolute crap year, and all of a sudden the Thunder have like one of the top picks in the draft, and they're one of the top Western teams. It's so crazy. The SGA trade for Paul George continues to hurt the Clippers in major ways and just benefits the Thunder in so many ways. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Michael Anthony saying Shed is going to be really exciting if he can keep up that energy. Yeah. In some ways, this is what we need our guys to do. Sometimes teams only have like one or two guys that are energy guys, but we have a bunch. And in some ways, our franchise face is an energy guy himself. Chris Boucher may have been the key energy guy for the Raptors in the past, but all of a sudden we've got like rivals for energy guys. Maybe Mobo, maybe Shed, maybe Davion, maybe IQ. These guys are all have a lot of energy to them, and energy is being expended on the court. And if the other teams ain't going to expend the same energy as the Raptors, it's going to be a long night for them playing against Toronto, is what I'm going to say right now. That's right. Energy guy. That's right. Kareem saying, sorry, it's Shaq. I don't want you to think I was coming at you. I'm not like that. There you go. It's all good. Mistakes are made and everything is cool. Shaq Lindsay just told me we need to get Kem Birch back. And that makes him one of my favorites today because we love Kem Birch. I love Kem Birch. And I would love to see him circle back and be in the NBA again all of a sudden because he's healthy. That's right. Wayne saying Raptors natural player mode under Masai has always been pesky style of play. It's not a Darko style per se, but he brings a certain synergy to that philosophy of play. Well, listen, in some ways, the way our team is, we have to use everything that we're good at. And if we're pesky and we're energy driven, that's great. In some ways, we have to work hard. The team that works the hardest on a basketball court often wins. So that's a great philosophy to have. If the teams are going to be lazy and play against us lazy ways, we show up with energy, we outwork them, we out hustle them, we win. And I'm all about winning games that way this year, because it seems like we can outwork people on both ends of the floor, working the ball around in a very beautiful passing situation, scenario sets, and then just getting on them and annoying the hell out of them on defense and making them cough the ball up left and right. That's right. I love it. And you're right, Wayne. This is a philosophy and a brand that the Raptors brand has been associated with since the beginning. Brendan Malone had their team out there, the original Raptors, busting their butt because they had to, because they didn't have the talent to go up against the rest of the NBA. And the way that the Raptors manufactured wins in their first season ever 30 years ago was purely on hustle, hard work, rebounding, and defense. And in some ways, that calling card has not changed. The team has changed. The rosters have changed. There's been different eras. But for the most part, a lot of times the Raptors have had to rely on being very, very hardworking, energy kind of team. And that's exactly right. That's right. Fiercely saying, see y'all tomorrow at the draft. That's right. Woo. Yeah. And yeah, Ansley, I have a bunch of cards from this box. And the cards that y'all got me last summer are gone. I opened them all up this summer. We did Wild Card Wednesdays, and it was fun. I had so much fun opening those cards. And there were so many good cards in there, Ansley. It was so awesome. And you guys were awesome to make that idea for me. In fact, you spawned a whole thing called the wild cards and the card of the day, that you guys were helpful in causing a new part of my show. That I didn't do the card stuff until y'all gave me those cards. And you've made such a fun thing that we have the classic card of the day. And yeah, thank you, Ansley. Thank you, Harry, for giving me those cards for Christmas last year. You inspired something very cool on this channel, and these people have very much been enjoying it since. That's right. Kareem Sen is that guy with the crazy dunk. Yeah. Tom Chambers. That's right. That's right. Tom Chambers. Yeah. Smooth was away, so he missed it. It's too bad. It's too bad. Let's see. Magic versus Bird. That's an old video game, Mike. Good to see Logical Raptors Fanatic in the chat. Project Truth always, Mike. I love you, man. And I'm glad to see you in the chat today. Yeah, Magic versus Bird. That's an old school game. But Tom Chambers was in like Lakers versus Celtics. Bulls versus Lakers was another game in those series. And it was like Sega Genesis at that time, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Ansley's saying, I love you too. I love you so much. And I really do hope I get to see you guys by the end of the year. Who knows? Maybe I'll be there for Christmas. I don't know. There's no guarantees on things right now, but who knows? I'm sure I will see y'all very soon. And like I said, I'm getting things nice up here in Canada for you guys to come visit me out at the cottage. And it'll be so much fun to see you and Harry once again. I love you so much, Ansley. That's right. Carlos saying, what a great uncle Lex is. I'm okay. I'm okay. I mean, I don't get to see them a whole lot or talk to them a whole bunch because they do live in Atlanta. But when I do get to see them, it's very special. And the love is undeniable. That is true. We were playing basketball last time I saw them around Christmas, and it was fun. Harry and I playing basketball in their Airbnb in like a little hallway, and they had like this little dunk ball on the door. And I was like being kind of like big man mean, like holding him back and like dunking on him. But he was bombing from outside, and he made some crazy shots over me too. So I have to give Harry some credit for that basketball game we played at the Airbnb last Christmas. That was a lot of fun. Playing basketball with my nephew on a little mini hoop in the hallway of an Airbnb. It was funny. Yeah. Killian Hayes was waived by the Nets. Wow. Well, part of that's injury. In some ways, it's like he ain't him. We knew this. Scotty said that, right? He said, you ain't him. Well, he's not him to the point where he just got waived. That's right. Mike's saying the game I'm thinking of is Jordan versus Bird for Genesis. That was even before the Lakers versus Celtics series. And this is when I was in high school, Mike. So this is kind of like 89, 90, 91 that these games were coming out. Yeah, it was right around then. Trevor's saying, I'm looking forward to going out to California to see the Raptors kick the Lakers and the Clippers' butts. Yeah, so you're going to go to that road trip. They were talking about this in the game last night about how the Raptors have their first 5 games around here, and then we go out on a West Coast trip almost immediately. A 5-game West Coast road trip, and we played the Clippers and the Lakers right away in their arenas. So Trevor's going to be there for us, representing the Raptor Freak family in California, in LA at Crypto. Actually, they're not in the same building anymore. So you're going to have to go to both arenas. Intuit Arena also, the new building that Steve Ballmer built. So that'll be very interesting. Trevor, hold it down for us and bring that good energy like Monique does to Scotiabank. You bring it to them on the road, stateside. That's right. Trevor's our guy on the stateside, showing up as in the enemy territory for the Raptors. That's right, representing. And often Trevor's going to come in there with a whole crew. He brings a bunch of people with him. We love you, Trevor. He's being such a great benevolent philanthropist lately, man. So good. Carlos saying, who do you guys like to get as a backup of Yak? I think Shaq Lindsay's on point when he says Cam Birch. Seriously, I would not be against that. We know that he holds it down in the right ways physically for a center as a backup. And in some ways, I like him a lot. I really do. And Cam coming back would be awesome. I'm sure Wendy would be very happy to see her son back on the Raptors once again for another stint. All of a sudden, it was so scary with the knee injuries and the time he was on the Raptors before. Well, now he's healthy and he's a whole different player once again. And that's what I'm saying. Don't be afraid of getting Kem Birch back here because his knee's better. And he'd be even better than he was when he was on our team when his knee was all messed up. So that'd be awesome. I love that. Andrew saying, I wish we could get Luke Garza. He's probably the best third string big in the league. He's definitely good enough to be a backup. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's on Minnesota, right? He's on the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, I believe. Yeah, they value him a lot. and he's not going anywhere. They're going to keep him around there. Tristan Trey's here. Good to see Tristan coming back into the stream. A lot of people coming back and showing up recently, like Criscom and Shaq Lindsay and Jimmy Pope and Tristan. Good to see Raptor Freak Tristan. Good game. Yeah, it was fun last night. Very entertaining to watch. Raptors winning their preseason schedule, which is fantastic considering they played the Celtics twice out of 5 games. Mike saying everyone that was down on Oshai needs to chill. Development isn't linear. And I believed he had a great potential. Everyone downs him, but he's a solid defender and he has a winning experience. He will grow. You know, in some ways, we're seeing in the system with Darko now, the way that he gets to get cuts and gets close-up shots is very beneficial to his outside shooting. And it's also more like what he did at Kansas when he won the national championship. You know, Oshai was a go-to-the-basket kind of scorer for the Jayhawks. And in some ways, in the NBA, it hasn't been conducive to do that. But Darko has a system where it's setting him up to be able to meet people at the rim to score. And that's fantastic. That's a strength for Oshai. And Darko's letting him play to his strengths. And you know what? Success at the rim will bring success on the outside threes for Abaji. And I love that. I love that so much. And I think Mike's exactly right. I've been kind of worried about Oshai because I felt like he was not getting the progress in certain ways, but we're seeing things right now that's showing that he is. And that's really been nice to see. You know, he had a bad summer league. He was at summer league, remember, guys, and he was with those rookies, and he did not stand out or look good as a third-year player at summer league. But he's definitely made up for it in the last couple preseason games and shown a very high aptitude in scoring right now, which is good. We need him to do this. It needs to be a threat to score so people respect him in our in schemes so they don't lag off him. So Mo's saying, Muggsy saw my comment on him in the Hometown Hero collection and gave it a thumbs up. And Compton Apparel saw my post from the game the other night with his book, just a couple of wow moments. That's awesome, Mo. Yeah, I love interacting with players and different people through social media. It's so cool. Like Amari Moore this year, different people have been showing like, yeah, we see you. You know, Kevin Durant on Twitter talking to people directly all the time. The connections between fans and the players is so open, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Twitter. There's ability to interact with players more than ever, and it's fantastic. The great legend Muggsy Bogues posted a picture this week of him in a Raptors jersey coming down the court, and he captioned it as, this is the look of a guy looking for his teammates to set them up. And I was like, man, Muggsy, you've been such a great Raptors alumni all along, and I appreciate you for it. The shortest player to ever play in the history of the NBA. That's right. Grady is what Seymour's saying. Mid-range master. Yeah, the midi for Grady has been awesome. Grady, you know what? You may have not shot very well last night, but you absolutely contributed to winning last night. And you're just, man, I'm really excited. Last year, we saw Grady do something new every game. He still hasn't stopped. We're still seeing Grady doing new stuff every single time we see him take the court. And it makes us go, wow, this kid can really actually ball out. And I'm shocked at seeing some of the gains and the stuff that Grady's added to his game this year. It's like I keep saying, Grady looks like a grown man now. Last year, he looked like a kid. He looked like a boy. Now he looks like a man out there. He really, really does, physically and even in his face. He looks more like a grown man at this point. It's really cool. Wayne saying, realistically, can you really see the current Lakers roster beating us even with the referee's help? It's just not happening, freaks. Lakers not beating us. I realized this last night, too. I was thinking about it. It's like, you know, these Laker games are coming early in the season. In fact, we're going to see the Lakers within the first week of the season on the Tuesday after the season starts. And, you know, we could easily steal both the games against the Lakers because I don't think they have their stuff together. I don't think that they're a real team. In fact, they are going to be a bottom-feeding team. I think this is going to be a very long season for Laker Nation. And I think that we could beat their butt 2 games in a row right at the beginning of the season. That'd be fantastic. In some ways, those are games we need to win. I mean, we could look at the early schedule, and I say, all right, if Cleveland has not won a preseason game, we need to beat them in the first game. Philadelphia on Friday is going to be tough. That's going to be a battle. But if we beat Nick Nurse and Philadelphia in the second game this season, hey, and then we got to go immediately to Minnesota and play the Timberwolves after the Sixers. And that is a tough second night of a back-to-back. But we caught the Timberwolves early in the season last year before they had a very excellent year, and we beat them on the opening night. So there are opportunities to jump all over people, and the Raptors getting together earlier in the season, in this offseason, doing Spain and Miami, and doing so much work early to be at this point right now is showing right now, like they said in the broadcast last night. So maybe we will catch some of these big teams sleeping. Maybe they'll underestimate us. Maybe we will steal some games and wins at the beginning of the season. And honestly, we could win both games against both LA teams when we go on that West Coast trip. And I think that Wayne's right, that even if the refs try and screw us like they did last year against the Lakers in LA, I think we can overcome the 8 versus 5. Seriously. Seymour saying, when the announcer said both teams are playoff bound, I was on the floor dying, laughing. Nets a bottom feeding team at best. Who said that? Who said that? The Nets are not a playoff team. No, they're not. And we're not totally either. I don't know for sure. I think we'll be a play-in team for sure. But we'll have to see how everything shakes out with the Eastern Conference and injuries. In some ways, I could say, yeah, Nets are below us, Wizards are below us, Pistons are below us, Hornets are below us, Bulls are probably below us, and I would even say the Hawks are below us. That is 6 teams, and 5 teams do not make the playoffs. So that means we're in the middle of the play-in. So who knows? And who knows? I don't even think Miami's going to be as good as everybody thinks they're going to be this year, and they may be right around us also. And we could be better than the Heat this year, y'all, on the down low. Seriously. I'm serious. Let's see. Trevor's saying New York Knicks lose to Washington last night. Ha! That's funny. Andrew's saying Grady is more than just a shooter. Yeah, he's a lot. He's becoming a really good defender, too. 2 block shots last night. That's a big deal. Seymour saying he has all-around game. Grady is him. Yeah, I'm enjoying Grady a lot. Man, I would never been so wrong about a draft pick, and I should never doubt Bobby and Masai. I should never doubted them on Grady Dick. I was like, man, I'm not so happy about this draft pick. Well, I am now. I'm very, very happy. Bryce is saying Kawhi has a degenerative, and it's been known about since 2018, and they're now just telling us. Well, we got the best year of Kawhi Leonard's NBA career out of him in Toronto. And boy, what a dream season that was. It is what it is. C'est la vie. You know what? Maybe that degenerative wouldn't have been so degenerative if he had stayed with Dr. Alex. Never will know, because Uncle Dennis told Kawhi to go back. And that's just what it is. It's just what it is. Mike's saying, Lex, the broadcast announcer for the Nets, said the Raptors and Nets are going to be fighting for playoffs or something. Okay, so it was them that said that. Yeah, those guys are clowns. I heard their call on the highlight package, NBA's highlight package. They didn't have our announcers on it. They had them. And yeah, they were goofy. Yeah, the Nets aren't making the playoffs. What are you guys smoking in Brooklyn? Seriously. What are y'all smoking? Yeah, what funniest ever. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Seriously. I love Jordy and I want success for him. But let's be realistic. Come on now. All right, let me see. Let's do the box score, because we didn't really talk about the team stats yet. So let's just go over it real quick from last night. I love this stuff with 31-30 at the end of the first. So it was very close first quarter. Then the Raptors weren't that much ahead in the second, but in the third, we really separated from them with the starting unit against their starting unit, 38-29. In the third quarter, we had a great lead. And then our second unit, our bench, kind of squandered it in the fourth, and it became close, but we still closed out and won. That's a great opportunity for the young team to be in a situation where they have to hold the team off and play very smart. In some ways, these kind of opportunities are valuable. And, honestly, Darko getting these kind of close games in the last 2 games of the preseason were really a godsend, honestly. The Celtics game, winning by 1, and then even last night, having to hold off the Nets was absolutely a great learning and teaching time for the coach. Here we go with the shooting. The Raptors shot 49%, and we got 1 less shot than them, but they shot 42%. We ended up with 11 threes by the end of the game. We were not shooting good at 3, but we did shoot better in the second half. 31% from 3. The three-point shooting still pretty anemic for the Raptors and not looking right against other teams, but we're dominating in the paint. And that is a big reason why we won last night, is the in the paint stuff. The free throws, they gave them 2 more free throws than us, and we did not shoot well at the free throw line. 68% at the free throw line. Raptors tight that up. 45 rebounds to 39 rebounds. Raptors out rebounding the Nets. That's a big key component of the stats. 34 assists for the Raptors last night. I was just begging for Nick Nurse's team to get 25. Now we're like getting over 30 regularly with Darko's system. I love that. 34 assists, 9 steals, 7 blocks, 18 turnovers. We did have more turnovers than them. We had 22 fast break points, which is nice, but 64 points in the paint. That's Jakob Poeltl and Scotty Barnes dominating the Nets with size, and they can't do nothing about it. We were the big boys in the game, and we played the big boy way and dominated them down low. And I love that. That's refreshing. It's not often in recent years that the Raptors get to be the big boy team and dominate around the basket. It's often the center on the other team is dominating us because Jakob is out. Well, I like being on the other side of the coin in this situation. I really, really do. Let me see. Okay, there's news out that sports books this year will not offer under props because of the Jonte Porter scandal. This is Raptors related. So FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, ESPN Bet, Caesar Sportsbook have all confirmed to ESPN that they're going to comply with the NBA to not allow bets on people getting unders. This is smart. Duh. Don't do this, because then players are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to suck on purpose so I can win some bets on the download. So no more under betting on players in the prop bets. So this is good. This is a good first step, but still, I hate the gambling around the sport in the first place, but this just makes sense. Of course you can't do this. And did you really need to have this open and allow for a Jonte Porter situation to happen like this? Y'all should have forethought about this and thought about this ahead of time. In some ways, y'all made it the Wild West, and you're going to adjust over time. I think that you may even need to go further and not just do the under bets. You may have to do individual prop betting on individual players also. I don't think it's right for y'all to put prop bets on individual players, because in some ways you're putting a bullseye on these players. That people are going to put bets on Chris Boucher for how many rebounds he gets, and he only gets 11 rebounds, and they needed him to get 12, and they're calling death threats to him. That's no good. So stop putting individual bullseyes on individual players with individual prop bets. I think that you can have enough to bet on in the league around team betting, score betting, and you don't need to have such a specific individual betting on players, because you're just going to open up all kinds of a can of worms of headaches for players with out-of-pocket crazy fans that lose money because of them. So I think you may need to go a step further and not just ban under betting on under props, but just individual props in general, because I think it's just a bad look. There is a birthday today. Happy birthday to former Raptors assistant coach Jim Thomas. He is 64 today. So happy birthday to his former assistant coach, Jim Thomas. And I think that's it, guys. I figured it out. All right. Tomorrow, we have our draft. So be ready. It's our Raptor Freak Fantasy NBA draft. 16 teams will be drafting tomorrow. I do not have the order of the draft. It's going to be randomized for tomorrow. We'll come in and we'll see who it is. I really highly recommend you guys do mock draft today to get ready for what you can expect tomorrow. There you go. There you go. There you go. Seymour is saying the last 6 MVPs have been international players. Can SGA make it 7 straight? I love that. I think it's time for Gilgeous-Alexander. If he is on top of the league with the Thunder and he's playing at a very, very high level like he did last year, it's his MVP to win. In some ways, they often show the next MVP by the guy who gets second the year before. And in some ways, some people argue that he should have won it last year. So listen, have a healthy, good year, and Thunder stay near the top of the Western Conference. I could see SGA winning the MVP. Yeah, I would love to see that. Seriously, I really would. Mike's saying the Lakers lost by 60. That's crazy. That is crazy. Seymour saying the Mavs have a 7'5" kid named Sharp. They cut him, apparently. And he's a friend of Bryce Lawson. He went to high school with Bryce in Kentucky. And Bryce was actually saying at the beginning of the stream, Seymour, that we need to pick him up because they waived him. He's not actually on the Mavs anymore. Yeah, he's saying named Sharp, man, is a toilet seat lid. Nothing going down on the inside of the key. Interesting. Yeah, that's Bryce's friend. Or I don't know. He just knows him from around where he grew up. Mike's saying Bronny played 35 minutes. It's wild. Yeah, the Bronny show's hilarious. I like what Kevin tried to do blocking him. I saw that little highlight, Kevin Durant going at Bronny. That's funny. And Seymour saying Poeltl looked like a man amongst boys last night. Yeah, he was the dominant big guy for sure. All right, I'm at 3 hours. I'm over my time. Thanks for watching me today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and join the channel if you feel like it. So much fun watching the Raptors in preseason. A very successful training camp and preseason for the Raptors. and things are looking very bright, that we got to wear our shades. In some ways, I love you, Ansley. I love you, Harry. And thanks for being here in the stream with me today. And tomorrow we'll be doing a live fantasy draft on the show. So if you enjoy just fun comments and seeing how we're going to draft this, well, join us tomorrow for a Sunday special report, the annual Raptor Freak Yahoo Fantasy Draft for the season. And we'll see who gets who. And remember, Raptor Freaks, you only get one Raptor per team. Do not draft more than one Raptor. If you're going to take Scotty in the first round, that's the only Raptor you're going to get for the rest of your, the draft. So don't try and get a whole bunch of them. Happy Lexathon. Thank you, Monique. I appreciate you very much. Y'all have a great Saturday. Touch grass, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at the regular time. Let's go, Raptors. Future so bright. Yeah.